Welcome to another episode of Please Elite This.
Hold on.
I can't.
Go ahead, man.
Episode.
Gotta throw the kid in the pool, right?
Let's watch him drown.
You
better not drown.
Come on, don't embarrass me.
Episode 202.
It's a palindrome. Is that what it's called?
It only took 2 years.
That's what it's called?
200.
Darren, you gotta
job,
think
dude.
about it. You gotta think
No,
about it. Why you
I was.
talking about
I'm more like happy.
You wanted me to
that
be
you got
wrong.
it. I wanted you to be wrong a little bit.
So my first name is Torlo. I hate that name.
Wait. Why are we recording?
Wait, we're recording on
Oh, yeah, we started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hi.
so sorry. My bad. Let me just do the intro.
Want me to start over?
Yeah, go ahead,
Okay,
Darren.
episode 202.
Yes.
It's a
Palindrome.
Yeah.
Big. It only took 202 episodes, but he got it.
I learn, baby. I still learn.
Palindrome's a real baby. Money is fake.
You already. You
in
already.
in the building we have Darren.
Damn.
Genevieve. And today, because Darren's throwing the baby in the pool, we have a special guest. If you are in Rhode Island, or actually probably in half of the states, you probably have election primaries coming up. You know, we're going to start seeing more and more campaign ads and such and all that fun stuff. So today we actually have someone who's running for office in the great state of Rhode Island. And I'm going to let her do her wonderful intro for herself because I'm going to mess it up. But here we have Cor.
Hi guys.
The acoustics.
Hello.
Wow.
Thank you for having me on your show. I'm actually honored.
Hey.
Thank you.
I've seen the work that you guys were doing or have been doing. I know two of you from childhood.
Yes.
So it wasn't hard to say yes, I'm coming down, or even to reach out and ask. So that it's good. And I've known your wife since childhood, so it's Rhode Island.
Yeah.
It's Rhode Island.
Yeah.
It is Rhode
Such
Island.
a Rhode Island
Yes.
story to start this off.
Indeed.
7 degrees of separation, for real. So my name is Torlo Kormasa Amos. Most people know me as Kormasa or Core. When I was working, and I would introduce myself, a lot of times people wouldn't get that right. So I came up with like a little system for them, a little song and dance, not like, I wasn't doing like da-da-da. Because you know that.
It's all flash out.
Right.
Jazz hands.
I am Core. No jazz fingers.
That's funny.
So I used to tell that they were like, what? Kormasa? Kormasa?
boy.
So I was like, it's like the Michael Jackson song. Kormasa. Like,
Yo.
yo,
Perfect.
if you can't,
Yo.
if you want to be
Can't mess
cool
it up.
and you can't, like, you don't know Michael Jackson?
Wow.
Kormasa. He does not say that though.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But it's an easy
But-
way to remember.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like it.
That's wow.
So it didn't put a lot of pressure on them. It was, they could chuckle about it, and I still expected my name to be sounding right out your mouth. So
Awesome.
that's right now. I'm running for representative for District 5, which is the Charles, Woonsock, and Elmhurst area of Rhode Island.
Okay.
Okay. I decided to jump in this race because I've always had a passion for the community. I had to step back for a little bit, and that was a journey in itself. But, out of that experience, I gained and gleaned so much wisdom. I got closer to God. Sometimes I would be far away from God because the experience was just so intense. And then this year, Marcia Ranglin Vessel, who is actually the woman she's now stepped down, the representative for District 5, approached me about running.
Oh.
At first I was like, nah, I don't think I'm going to do that. But after what I went through, I think some of it was my confidence of getting back in the public or getting back into community service, doubting if I had the energy to do it. But sometimes it takes someone believing in you and reminding you of the person you are. And she definitely did that for me. And I was like, I got this. So here I am. I'm running. I'm looking for people to support. I'm looking to get my message out there. So I decided to come on down because I want to relate to people. And I know you guys do an excellent job at that.
Thank you.
Thank you. A lot to unpack there.
It's
So,
a
but
lot.
first, I want to say thank you, and we're honored to have you on. It's good to see you again. So, you had mentioned the one, I forgot her name. What was her name again?
Marcia Ranglin Vessel.
Marcia. How do you know her? Like, because I don't know anyone in any districts that say, yo, Bim, You want to take my seat?
That's probably because people who know you know you.
Ha, don't do that. Don't do that. But, like, how do you know her and why did she think of you?
So I actually worked on Marcia's first campaign where she ran against an incumbent that had sat there for like 22, 24 years.
Wow.
And sometimes people get comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, when you have a seat of power, you get comfortable, and then maybe the accountability isn't as strong because you're like, oh, he's been there forever. Right. He was part of the leadership in the General Assembly, and Marcia decided after, I think, one of her sons, so she has 3 sons, and she told me the story about how one of her sons came home and broke down because one of his friends had gotten shot and killed.
Oh.
And she, you know, moms are something else.
Oof, oof.
Like, my little boy feels bad, I'm going to do something.
Wow.
I'm going to run and I'm going to make changes. So she ousted Dee Simone that year, and it actually made national news because she was not favored to win. She didn't have much fun. She didn't have name recognition. Right? So she literally went door to door. So when she came to my door, I was like, who are you? And to tell you the truth, being a black woman in Rhode Island and seeing another black woman being like, I'm going to take this seat. I'm going to take the seat of power. And it feels empowering myself. Yeah. So I was like, I got your back. We started working. And during that time, I hadn't told people, but I had been diagnosed with a terminal lung disease called pulmonary fibrosis. Wow. So I actually started to get worse and had to just take a step back. Marcia constantly checked on me. We were hoping for a baby. We were told we would never have children. We eventually did have a child, and she was there. She and my daughter are close. My daughter doesn't know that she's not, like, that's auntie to her. So, so that's how it came about. So she saw my fight. She saw my fight, and the fight was just for life. Like, literally, the fight was for life. So it's been 2 years. 2 years. I had a double lung transplant in 2020, which is a miracle story in itself because, if you know, 2020 was COVID.
Yeah. So,
like, I have a saying, and I use it when medicine ceases, miracles begin. Because there was no way, everything had to be perfect in order for me to get that transplant. You're talking about time, location, blood type, size, without COVID. Okay? And so after that, you know, recovery was, I got COVID twice, and my doctors were like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm perfectly fine. Because when God does something like that in your life, your faith is so high, you're like, you know what? I just might walk into heaven with Moses or something. I just might. Like, you just have this strong faith.
Yes.
And that's a fight in itself. So when she approached me, I was kind of like, oh, I don't know. I didn't want the backlash of people questioning my medical journey or thinking I wasn't strong enough. I didn't think I thought my story would actually be a hindrance. But she spoke into my life, and I was like, you know what? You're right. Everybody goes through a journey for a reason, and pain brings purpose.
For sure.
With me, some of the purpose I see is that people are experiencing pain now, and they don't know how to navigate that. You see an economy where people are losing jobs and housing. You see people are still mourning from COVID and loss. You see a feeling of uncertainty. And can I tell you, I went through all of that. I went through all of that. And I tell people, I'm on the other side, and I can tell you it's going to be okay. I can tell you it's going to be okay. So with me, people say, you're really optimistic. I was like, shoot, I'm living my second life, and I'm living my best life. So of course I'm going to be optimistic about things.
Of course, yeah.
So that's how me and Marcia.
Wow. And that's why representation matters. Because if she didn't look like she did, where's the enthusiasm? Where's the willingness to help someone on that journey to become a black woman? Like, come on now.
Right. Oof, and she also had, like, once she got in assembly, she also had to navigate as a black woman because there's not many minorities in that Senate.
Yeah, the fight just starts.
You're like, oh man, I just put my gloves on.
Yeah. Pretty much. So that was that, yeah.
Now, did you always have a passion for politics? Was it a thing you thought about, or is it just like I'm learning this from day one?
Because none of that stuff seems fun.
So
Let me wipe the tears I had this morning.
Because I'm a fun-loving guy. I watch all that politics. I'm like, it's not fun, you guys doing that stuff.
He was actually the one I was worried about telling that we were going to have you on the show. I'm like, he's not going to want to even talk about politics.
No, because I have questions. I have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
No, whenever we talk about politics, Ben was like, all right, I'll see you guys later.
Nah, it's not true. I just be like, all right, and then what?
Yes.
So I'll because it's always that, you know what I'm saying?
And then what?
Yeah.
I get that.
Sorry, Dan, what was the question? I want her to answer.
Oh, yes, that was a great question. My bad.
Were you always into politics? Is
That was the
this just
question.
something that you're learning from day one? And
So-
I guess how are you navigating this learning experience?
So, not politics. I was part of community organizing for the longest time. And that started from childhood, from church, being in church activities, when you think about it, partaking in church is community. You're
Facts,
building
facts.
community, you're learning how to work with people, you're learning how to pray for people, you're learning all of
Caring
these
for
things.
children.
Right?
Yeah.
You're learning how to have a vision. These are things that are instilled in you, that was instilled in me from my early childhood. Because I am a Liberian American, we have the Liberian Association where we take the youth and our parents would teach us our culture. They would teach us teach us how to bake, teach us how to sew, teach us a lot of things.
I didn't know that.
So, yeah, I can't do any of it now. But I can't even cook jollof rice, so we can edit that out. That's a truth.
Yes, you will get
I
backlash for
would
that
blame
line
it on the
alone.
years of struggle.
Your campaign opponent's gonna be like, she can't.
She can't even. They better not use that. They better not use it. I'm fighting them.
She's not even an African. She's gonna be like, I'm the captain now.
That's the whole platform. Do you want somebody? I'm sorry. Continue.
Bland jollof. That's what you're getting.
That sounds so
Listen,
sad.
I feel like if we were in Africa, that might have been
Of course.
that might have been a thing.
Of course.
Yeah.
You said bland jollof rice,
Right.
huh?
Oh my God.
That's crazy. That's wild. I just need a second. I'm sorry.
Yeah, process that. Process that. Process just rice and tomato
She,
paste.
she,
Yeah,
she
that's
means
what it
Trader
is.
Joe's.
Whoa. Whoa.
All right, I'm sorry.
So that was community. I saw how community was built. I saw how communities moved forward. I saw how communities got what they wanted because Liberian communities, Nigerian communities, Black American communities, even white communities, when they come together, they're able to do things. So that was instilled early. Struggled because I'm the first child. Parents didn't know what they were doing when they put me in college, and then they were like, "We don't have money." I was like, so I moved to Boston. Worked in Jocelyn Diabetes Center in the Office of Sponsored Research. I sat at the table of researchers, and that was an eye-opening thing, because some of the things that they proposed was going into minority neighborhoods and offering them something like $500 to be part of a study. That is very persuasive, let's just say, to do a study where you're trying new drugs, if you're a person that's not making a lot of money, $500 is tempting, and if you're like, well, it might kill me,
Right.
but I can pay my light bill.
At least my kids will eat. Yeah.
That's a problem. I started to see, as I sat at that table, I started to see things that I was not exposed to. Because, if you grow up in the kind of community I do, you're sheltered from everything. Like, it's not until I started I started at Northeastern, and they were like, what? You don't know what juice is? You don't know what, I didn't know. Because it was just like, oh, papa, oh, shit. Oh, papa, oh, shit. Like, I remember my father throwing out my Fugees, the food. Yep. Mm-hmm. The story was we were driving on the highway, and he was like, this is my money now, but it's not my money.
It's not your money.
Right. And so he's like,
You
let
just
me
made
listen. He's like, let's all listen to that tape. Oof. So if it's not a family-friendly thing, so when he put in the tape, it didn't even start on the right side. It started on side B. And I will always remember this because it was
The Chinese skit?
Oh my goodness.
No, the worst.
No.
Yes. My dad ejected that tape and threw it out on the highway of 95. So when I say closed off, when she said ready or not, I was not.
I'm not ready.
Right.
Yo, I'm hearing that skit in my head right now.
Yo.
It's killing
Can
my
you imagine
inside.
your parents like,
Oh my God, because we and my brother used to play that that part over and over because we thought it was so funny.
It is
but we
funny.
played in our room, obviously. You didn't just play that at the kitchen table. Oh boy,
So they don't understand that.
My neck
No,
hurts.
come on, man. Come on, man.
You said that was the first hip hop album you ever heard, right? Yeah.
Right, one of the greatest.
Man.
I told him they only let him listen to it because he's Haitian.
Literally. So pretty sure my dad was like, White
we-
Club.
we
You know, I have to support
You're
my own. Yeah. So, okay.
So that was the kind of sheltered life I lived. I moved out to Boston.
Wait, you
and-
didn't have juice as a kid, though?
No. Watch the movie Juice. Like all the black, like Boys in the Hood.
Gotcha.
So when I went to Northeastern, which is like in Boston,
Yeah.
The kids that came to that school I started going to school with was like I wasn't.
You
So
don't
let me
know
be
what
honest.
this is?
Because in Rhode Island we do struggle with this too with our African American brothers. I didn't grow up in an African American culture. I learned African American culture when I moved to Boston.
Right. Right.
So I was seen very differently. And they weren't mean about it. I remember the term Oreo was a thing I heard.
Oh.
And it wasn't that I was an Oreo. It was just that I hadn't been exposed to the culture.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I took no offense to it. I definitely loved it. You know, that's when you learn on a whole nother world, we were all day. I was like, because it wasn't this, it was like this.
Oh, man.
Totally different.
I got it.
Darren Warwick, Darren got
I
it.
got it.
I was used to this.
No, because I can understand that. Because in my household, we were quite sheltered as well. So
Right.
Yeah, a lot of people
So you
can
go
can
out-
relate to this, yeah.
And you
Not
start
me. I was
seeing.
listening to Bobby Brown earlier.
in the bathroom,
But now-
in the basement.
What were you doing it with your mother?
Yeah, we all dancing in the room.
Yes.
It's funny because my mom, the things that she let us like get on pay-per-view or watch on HBO, it was like the worst of the worst. It was either like nothing or like Pulp Fiction.
or Schwarzenegger movie or something.
We definitely watched Pulp Fiction with my mom.
Oh, no way, for real?
Yes, she ordered on pay-per-view for us. Like,
With
I'm not
her?
even joking. Yes, she ordered it.
There's an aggressive rape scene in that movie. Oh, my goodness.
I fell asleep in the
Yeah.
beginning.
Oh,
Every time I
okay.
watch that movie, I fall asleep halfway through.
Oof.
It's so weird. Probably because, I don't know,
It's a wild
PTSD or
movie.
You're
something.
not supposed to watch that.
Yeah.
At least not that age.
I'm like, I don't think I know all the parts. I just know they were scrambled. But yeah, anyway, I digress.
Yeah. I won't be any longer with this question because I'm just like dragging this. Like, this is my history. So you can tell how old I am because we're still in college. Like dang. What is that? 1992?
We in the same boat.
Right.
We in the same boat.
I was exposed to a lot. Boston is totally different. Like, I've never seen a homeless person until I went to Boston. And I was like, why does this guy just stand in front of the 7-Eleven? Like, right. And he just has this sign and
If you don't get it by the signs.
but once I was Bursa blocked, which was financial aid blocked, I was like, need
Get a
money for
sign.
school.
You got it.
Can I stand next to you, brother? Sorry.
And you got a mark I can use. You got a mark I
Now
can
you
use.
got a mark I can use.
Listen, life comes at you hard, right? That's the commercial. Anyway, got a job out there, started working at Jocelyn Diabetes Center. It exposed me to even more and being and I was administrative assistant, so I wasn't in the seat of decisions. So it was just like you in the room listening, you the one in the room. But then I started being like, that's not right. That's not right. Eventually left there, moved back home at 24. After being Versa blocked for that long, yep. Because back then you couldn't claim independent until you were 24.
Oh,
That
wow.
is true.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
didn't
I
know
couldn't
that.
fill out my
I tried.
own fast forward. Yeah. So I just had to wait. Until I could claim myself because my parents were like, so.
I don't
Good
know
thing
how
my-
I got it then. I don't remember doing that step.
Listen.
I don't remember doing that step. I just did it.
Yeah, couldn't claim yourself. Yeah.
Right. Transferred to Rick, continued to do what I love, which was communications. My dream for communications was really to inform people, to empower them with information so that they can make good decisions in their lives, to be like one of those like people on the soapbox, like extra, don't get run over by, what's going on. I feel like sometimes in our community, we're so distracted with work and kids and whatever that when we do elect our politicians, we're literally asking them to take up the helm of accountability and do what's right for my interest. But we haven't seen that lately, have we?
Nope.
So graduated from Rick, went on to work for the African Alliance of Rhode Island. So I'm still in community organizing. Well, in Boston, it wasn't community. It was more like clubbing. So, let me be honest. Started working with the African Alliance, worked with Lifespan as a community liaison. Started working at HMEA, which is serving people with disabilities. Was promoted to staff advocate after I wrote a op-ed, an opinion piece about not making enough money, pretty much.
Wow.
So I told the story about my coworkers. One had 2 jobs. He was a single father. One was a grandmother taking care of her child. And we were making about $13 an hour.
Wow.
So here I am now. Me and my husband are living with my mom on $13 an hour. And he had not, he was still interning at the place he works now in the lottery. Anyway, moving forward, once I got promoted, I started learning about policy-driven campaigns. And so we were able to advocate and get our wages raised to 15. And that was back in 2013.
That's
so,
huge.
So already I was doing that kind of work. The next thing was tuition remission, which is kind of like tuition reimbursement, we were fighting for. And then in 2000, the same year, I was diagnosed with the lung disease, worked there a little bit more, and then I had to step back. When I did step back, I was like, man, I still want to do. So I launched like this Facebook show called Getting to the Core, which was like also a play on my name.
I did see that.
So at that point, I was already on oxygen.
Yeah, I saw.
I was already on oxygen. But I was like, I'm still going to do something because I love the work. I love the people that came on to inform us what they were doing. And I realized, there is so much talent in Rhode Island, but sometimes we just don't know. Like, we just don't know how to access other people's talents. I did about maybe 7 episodes and then got pregnant and was like, I can't breathe anymore. I didn't say that, but pretty much I had to shut down the show. Yeah. And that's kind of where I left off. And that was about, 2017? So after 2017, you ain't hear from me.
Wow.
Now, you mentioned needing the double lung surgery. Do you want to get into any more details to because you were generous enough to share your experience online.
Yes.
I'm one of the folks that sometimes man, I don't want to know that, but that's like, my son scraped his knee, and you tell I don't care. But what you were sharing is it's inspirational. So I don't know how much you want to dive into what you got to go through.
I shared a lot. I shared my whole journey for 2 reasons. I've always been a writer. I've always been a writer. It's therapeutic for me. Yes, I use Facebook as a diary. But I think as a woman of faith, I needed to show people what faith looks like sometimes. And it doesn't look like, I know God's going to come through. It looks like sometimes I can't even talk to God right now. Yeah. Sometimes that's what it looks like. Sometimes it looks like doubt. Sometimes it looks like, so sharing that, I felt because we grew up in the church and what did we, just have faith. Just have faith. Just have faith. And so people kept telling me that, but you don't tell me how to have faith, how to, when you get that back, don't believe the doctor's reports. Yeah, but along with the doctor's reports, I'm definitely feeling this. So things in my Christian walk were really shaky. So sharing that was one. And 2, I knew eventually we would have to raise money. Yeah. So one of my things I want to fight for is universal health care. Because why do we have private insurance? And I still had to pay out of
Don't get me started.
Yeah, please not.
It didn't make any sense. So I'm all these people can't cover me? Yeah. Now, this is not even the lung transplant. This is just all the procedures and all the tests to get the lung transplant, and you're giving me bills $800 bills and stuff like that. Wow. The breakdown was real. I talked about mental health. I talked about postpartum depression. I talked a lot about my journey because sometimes it was very, very raw. The first time I got denied for my transplant, I shared that. I was at Rhode Island Works. They called me up. Yeah, pretty much it was a very cut and dry conversation. We did your test. We don't see you getting this transplant. Along with pulmonary fibrosis causes scarring of the lungs. Along with scarring of the lungs, you have esophageal, they call it dysmotility, meaning that you can't swallow because your esophagus is also scarred.
Oh my
so
goodness.
even if we did the transplant, you would not survive. Pretty much, you would be a waste of a transplant. She didn't say that, Ed, but that's pretty much
that's
what
what you
you're
get,
telling
yeah.
me. Like, I'm pretty much not worth the transplant. It was just me and this other lady. I had gone to Rhode Island Works, and I was doing a coding class, and I broke down, and she didn't even speak English. But like I said, pain is relatable. She saw me where she was. She came and she wrapped her hands around me, and she goes, I don't know what you're going through, but I know it's going to be okay. And let me tell you, I was like, messy shirt, or like, she was wearing a yellow shirt. Have you ever seen, right? No, the face print, because I was wearing makeup. It was the face print, and I was just like, thank you. Like, right. The ugly cry. Like, it's not even a quiet cry. It was a wail.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So that was that week was the first Mother Day of me being a mother. And you're telling me that I might not live to see my daughter? Mentally, that took a toll. My husband left work immediately and came to pick me up.
Good man.
Can I tell you? I must, somebody asked me who's the most generous person I know, and I say my husband.
You say he's Nigerian, right? That's what's up. Keep going. Huh?
Niger. They don't carry last.
We don't carry last.
Nicely done.
Right. But then that same week we baptized my baby. I was just the postpartum kicked in really hard. I couldn't even hold her because I had detachment issues at that point, because you're telling me, and now I don't know how long I have to live. Like, I didn't want her to have this attachment to me, and then all of a sudden this woman's gone. But my husband, he whipped me into shape. He goes, stop that nonsense. Because I was faithful man. He's like, stop that nonsense. I'm not even entertaining that. We gonna get through this. So we did. I had to advocate for myself because the test that they did was wrong.
Oh, stop it.
Yes.
Wow. See,
even being diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis when I was 24. Again, I went to a Nigerian doctor. I had to marry a Nigerian. They take care of me. Okay. He was Dr. Kapeya, who was a dermatologist in Rhode Island, one of the best.
Wow.
And he had looked at my skin because it was breaking out, and I was like, I keep getting sunburned, and I don't understand why. And it shouldn't be happening because I'm black. And I'm like, that's totally a myth, people. Please put your sunscreen on.
Yes.
And he's like, no, it looks like lupus. So he goes, you need to go to your PCP. Went to so many PCPs, did blood work. They kept telling me, oh, it's you're overweight, it's ADHD, it's stress, it's this, it's that. I didn't know they were supposed to refer me to a specialist. A rheumatologist would have tested for that. And I never went to a rheumatologist until I had to go to a pulmonologist, get the biopsy done on my lungs for them to say, well, go to a rheumatologist. Came back a couple of years later, figured it out. It was mixed connective tissue disease. I was like, oh, so it wasn't lupus. Actually, it's a mix of lupus.
Wow.
So at that point, I'm like, 33, 34, and I'm just like, dang, 10 years of not getting treatment. Oof. So my whole 30s, because from 32 to 38 is when I got my lung transplant, eating up. Well, 2017 is when I sat down, but still, nobody knew I was struggling with that. So that was kind of hard. So I'm definitely a health advocate. You will see me like,
That's what we're talking about.
Right. Because I was about to ask you, like, do you have a lawsuit? Because you only got 3 years if they mess up on you. I couldn't go back to the doctor and sue, but I was telling them. And I remember one doctor telling me, because I had Googled stuff, like, I'm having these symptoms. He said, are you the doctor or am I?
Stop it.
Which makes you feel like, well, I didn't go to school, but who knows your body better than you?
Yeah, I know myself.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling okay. So that was the journey. It was a lot. It was a lot dealing with the medical field, in Rhode Island, because I had all my treatments got done in Massachusetts. So Mass General, going back and forth before COVID. I mean, it's days. You're spending the whole days there, test after test. Some of the pictures I posted, I'm in the wheelchair and my husband's wheeling me around. The disease I had lost a lot of weight. And I remember one time going, sorry, I have to laugh about this. I remember one time going, and the lady's like, I don't know if she's not paying attention. And she asked my husband, oh, is that your mother? Like, how is she,
Oh.
So she mistaken it because I look sickly. She's like, "Is that your mother?" or something like that. And I was just like, "I'm his wife," like breathing like a smoker voice.
Sound like Marge Simpson.
Yeah. I'm his wife. So it was like,
That's my homie.
listen. Yo, touche, my friend.
And you were offended too. Full offense.
Oh my gosh. So it's like things like that you have to hold on to and laugh about. There are times I can laugh about it now, but like even now, some things I realize I blocked out because I can't process it. I had to go through a lot of therapy. You have to have therapy before you even have the operation. Wow. Yeah, because your life will never be the same. That's what they tell you. Your life will never be the same. For me, once that test came back and they realized it was a mistake, because this was what they said. They did a pH. And good thing we are smart people, right? They did the pH. If you remember in high school, the pH scale, there's only a certain amount of acidity, and then it goes to like base. Yep. My acidity was like, there should be acid leaking out of my stomach, according to this.
And no one noticed that?
My mom did, because she's a nurse practitioner. So we're like, is this a different kind of scale you're using? Because according to pH scale,
this is the metric system.
This from the UK. Yeah. So that's why we started advocating, and pretty much after we demanded another test. We even went to Brigham and Women, and Brigham and Women said no because they only looked at what MGH did, and they said, "Oh, we see the test right here, and it's a no." So they didn't even try to test me.
Come on.
So we went back and we advocated, and when they did it again, they realized they had put it too deep in the stomach or something like that, and then it came back where it was enough that I could get the transplant.
Wow.
So when you talk about God, and this is when you say, whose report shall I believe?
Come on now.
Right? That's a different kind of whose report. When you have to advocate for yourself and be like, I'm not receiving that. You're giving me a death sentence. I'm not receiving that. We're gonna advocate. We're gonna change. We're gonna challenge doctors. And I'm not against the medical field. I'm not against getting medicine. Right. Like I said, when medicine ceases, miracles begin. But you got to do your part.
Yeah, we're dealing with humans still.
Yeah.
And there's that margin of error, even if they may say it's small percentage-wise, a life is priceless.
Yeah.
Right.
So come on.
Yeah.
Actually, a pair of lungs is $1 million.
Wow.
Still, even with inflation, or is it worse than that?
That's but let me tell you the good part, though.
Look this up, right?
You remember, this is God. You remember how I said I was bursa blocked and I couldn't go to school? I had to take out all these loans.
Yeah.
When you have a lung transplant, you get loan forgiveness. Look at God.
Whoa.
Yeah.
We got to clap that up.
Yeah.
We got to clap that up.
I am debt free from Sally Mae or whoever got navigate.
You know what's so sad?
Yeah, so you have to apply for it.
You have to be on your deathbed.
Yeah, pretty
Well,
much.
that's sad too, but she told us all these inspirational things that have happened to her. We're like, oh, that's nice. She's like, my lungs are gone. Clap it up.
Jen, you understand.
Right.
You understand.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. It's so
Relatable.
sad that that's the thing that moved us. Like, whoa, that never happens.
That's a cheat code. That's a cheat code.
Like a double lung transplant, that's rare, but that.
But Sally Mae.
Oh, we gotta fix this
That's
country,
awesome.
man.
I got my letter this year that said your loans are forgiven.
Thank
and
God
that's
for
just
that. Wow.
And when you're in that period, you're still getting charged. So you're getting charged for interest and everything.
Oof.
They don't stop charging you and say,
Damn.
ma'am, we understand that you're sick. So I went from $40,000 when I started the loan forgiveness to $70,000 being forgiven in interest.
Wow.
$70,000 that I had inflated because of interest.
Wow.
Yeah, because I wasn't paying, but they were just keeping track. Like,
Yo, they're
just
worse than
in case.
bookies, man. That is
Just in case.
crazy.
Wow.
Hey.
I had to be on that disability for so long, and like I said, my journey was like almost like 7 years. So that happened. So we happy about that. So after that, listen, it was on and popping.
Yeah.
It was that was about what? So my daughter's born 2017. This is 2018. We're fighting for a comeback. 2019. I'm still not on the list because they say I'm too big. I am too big. So this is the thing. The weight system that they have does not include
Tell it.
does not include the proportions a black woman carries. So now they're finding that obesity is really in the waist circumference, right? It's not just, hey,
How
you're
many
this
pounds are
weight,
you? Yeah.
that means you're unhealthy.
Right.
Because you see Lizzo, okay? You see Lizzo bringing it down. I'm like, whoo, whoo, Lizzo.
And she's in
perfect,
shape.
right?
That's
in
what she's
shape.
saying. Yeah.
Right. So weight does not always determine your health factor. There are other determinants of your health factor. So they were denying me for my weight. Whose report shall I believe?
Come on now. I love
Listen,
it.
Pastor Fakule had something.
Shout, Pastor Fakule. Gang.
Not gang,
for
gang.
God, though.
Gang for God. I
For
like
Jesus
that.
Christ.
I gotta write that. That's,
Thank you, Jen. Thank you. I have to bother you at 2 o'clock in the morning.
You know when testimonies get good when you gotta
on
get
now.
it right.
Come
Quick,
on now.
come right quick.
Gang for God.
Yeah, man.
So
leave that on the shirt.
Put that on the shirt. Awesome.
I remember going on the lifespan liquid diet. Like I can't just drink some pepper soup. I'm like, can I maybe try? Like that? It's so hard to deny yourself. Mind you, I was on a liquid diet at the end because during my pregnancy my lung collapsed 3 times. Yeah, my story's so long. I just gotta write the book.
Yeah.
I told my mom, yeah, I'm gonna write the book and I'm gonna call it Grave to Government. She's like, that's not funny. I think your parents don't have a sense of humor. Like,
Don't you do that.
That'll sell, though. That'll fly up the shelves.
right?
Wait, they
Because
really
right
don't
now
have
our
a sense of
government's
humor.
going to the grave. Like, so.
They really don't have a sense of humor.
No.
I mean, they have a sense of
No,
humor
not
with
about
each
life
other.
and death because my
Yes.
mom went
They don't
through
play
it
with
too.
that
Yes,
one.
Yeah.
with each other they're funny, but then when you say the wrong thing,
We told the line too much.
Right,
Don't play with that.
yeah. Come back.
Yeah.
So you are a miracle story in this.
Oh, I
Miracle
didn't tell you
stories.
the best part. I don't want to take up
Stories.
too much time.
The best part.
I'm really out. So I came on as a candidate, obviously, but I'm really here to share my inspirational story and say, and I'm running for office now.
by the way,
Yeah. I mean, I should be, whatever. But like I said, I feel one of my callings is to share this in a time where people are suffering and uncertainty. So, of course, all I'm telling you is uncertainty. When my lung collapsed in the 7th month of my pregnancy, I have to laugh sometimes. We had gone to the doctors because I thought I had an appointment. And my husband's like, I'm going to take you today. I'm going to call out of work. I'm going to take you today. Went to Rhode Island Hospital, go upstairs. They're like, oh, no, we never have appointments today. I was like, are you sure? I was like, maybe it's like pregnancy brain or whatever. So I go downstairs and I'm 7 months pregnant. I was like, wait, we got to use the bathroom before we go. Go in the bathroom, lean over and feel this pain like I had gotten shot in the chest.
Oh, my goodness.
You know that little cord in the bathroom that you're like,
What
what
is
would
this
ever
thing?
happen? I had to call it and the floor went to code blue. So here I am, and sorry to get like my pants are still like halfway down,
Yeah.
and I'm just like all these students come running in, and now all I can think is like, is my pants all the way up? Like, that's all I can think. That's all I can think. So all these
my
students
goodness.
run in, and I can't talk because I can't breathe.
Oh my
That's how
goodness.
bad it was. And here comes God. My best friend stood in her wedding, Jassy Nas, best friend, comes in because she was on shift that day.
Come on.
wow.
Comes in because she knows what she knows what I've been going through. She goes, you need oxygen stat. Because those kids were like,
Yeah.
what's going on? Rushes me down to the ER, and I have the first chest tube surgery, blind, right? So they're doing it blind, meaning they're not even sure if it's right, because usually they would do it in like another room with a screen, and they can put your exact.
Yeah.
So like afterwards, the pain was like really intense. I'm like, this is not feeling right. They're like, no, ma'am, you just have to give it a chance, whatever. And this is what I'm talking about sometimes when we complain about pain.
Yeah.
When I say pain, the pain was so intense, I was throwing up. I don't even know how that happens, how you're in so much pain, because I'm screaming and I'm throwing up. Next day they come back, they're like, oh yeah, it's in the wrong spot, so we're gonna have to redo it again.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Like
go-
just a, oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, I was like, I guess because I want to breathe. I guess so. So they go take me down to the proper room and we do it again. Okay, I'm pregnant and my daughter.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, 7 months. My daughter's completely fine. So I come back. My husband's like, we come back upstairs and I'm all drowsy. So the nurse comes in that night. My husband's sleeping on a cart. That, like, when I say generous, he's sleeping on that cart and then going to work and then coming back and sleeping on the cart. Cot. Is that how they say it? Cot? Because I was saying cot.
Cots.
Cots.
So they
Like, but what she said? What he sleeping in?
You know, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like on the cart they put the food on, or like
Because it sounds like I'm saying cart, but I'm saying cot. C-O-T, cot.
Got it.
Okay, not cat.
Cots, not cots. Cots.
So
No, that's not.
do you get it? Because if you don't get it, then you didn't get it.
right, you didn't get it.
So
So
tired.
he's like, the nurse comes through, and I was like, yo, I need pain meds. And she was like, okay, I'm going to give you your regular meds as well. She comes in, I see her, and I'm like, okay. And then I don't see her, because I was on the IV, I don't see her push that little needle through. And this is why opioid is a crisis, because that thing makes, you know when you get a hit of opioid. Let me say, whatever I was on. And the fact that they didn't want to give me too much because I'm pregnant. So you can't have things like that. So when I went downstairs, there was no anesthesia. They don't give you an anesthesia.
Oh my God.
Yeah, when you have a chest tube surgery because it slows down your breathing. So she's in there and she's about to leave. And I was like, you didn't give me my pain meds. I'm sounding like a total fiend. She's like, you didn't give me my, and she goes, Mrs. Trouble, I did give you I said, I didn't see it. Yo. And she goes, I did. Would you like, yes, please get me the doctor. So now my husband's up, right? And the doctor comes through, and I was like, this nurse did not give me my pain meds. You need to, I need my pain meds. And he goes, Mrs. Traub, are you in pain? No. Yeah. That's how nice you will feel. That's how
Really?
I wasn't in pain. But then, you had to, I had to stop myself because I was.
And ask yourself, like, wait.
Yeah.
Man.
I'm strong enough to be arguing with this lady. I am not in pain.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So my husband was like, "You're not allowed to ask anymore. You're not allowed to ask the nurses for anything." I apologized to her the next day, and she goes, "I understand. It was the drugs, but definitely understand what it is to like." I was like, "Oh God, that's another experience. Like that is a." So now we've been in there for a week, and it's time to pull out the chest tube, pull it out. Go to bend down to get my stuff, and it collapses again.
Oh my gosh.
At this point,
Oh my gosh.
the only OBGYN that would take me in the first place, which was a favor to my mom, the same guy that delivered me, was the only one, because the OBGYNs that we had gone to thought the case was too risky, that my case was too risky.
Yeah.
Remember going to a specialist, and he goes, you can abort this baby before 13 weeks.
Stop.
I was like, no, this is a keeper. This is a keeper right here. He comes in and he goes, I'm not going to take your case. So it was a bunch of students that saw me to the end of my pregnancy. So collapses again, and we go down, and I had to beg for pain meds, not because I was fainting, but when you have a sore and then you keep poking at it, now it's bruised. So now,
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm very bad with hearing about pain.
Sorry. Because
Oh, she know. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Fast forward this part.
Wait, okay.
I'm like, this is so important. I don't want to stop her. But,
Right.
ooh, boy.
She's like, oh, okay. I'll just write down my questions. So she comes back. So now I'm like wailing because I can't take the pain anymore. And I'm looking at this nurse like eye to eye, like, listen, like when your eyes are pleading. And he asked the doctor, like, can we give her something? And she stops, because now my heart rate is like maybe 170, 180, just from pain. And she goes, yeah, I think we can. I'm like, you think? But I understand. They didn't want it to risk the baby.
Yeah.
Come out, I'm fine, now I'm on bed rest. Time to have my baby. They're like, we don't know what we're going to do, because if mothers will know this, you have to... I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
Can't push.
So-
Literally can't do the thing they tell everybody to do
Right.
when you're in child.
Every,
How am I
every
go-
TV show
Yeah.
ever.
Right.
has told
Okay,
us that.
take breathe. You can breathe, okay?
So they induced me. Everything's happening. It is Friday the 13th, and my only prayer was, God, I don't want a baby on Friday the 13th. That was my only prayer.
Africans.
Yo, my mom has the phone playing all the gospel songs. Everyone calling the pastor on the prayer line. Pastor Cooper and Salome Cooper are my pastors. And they have, when you're not in it, you got a lot of faith. And this was her first grandchild. That time comes, and everybody, no OBGYN, so whoever was on that night shift is delivering my baby. I see them bring the forceps. I see them ready, like, the things just in case, like, it was just a just in case. If you knew me during that time, you knew I had a cougher's smoker's cough. Oof. For some reason, the thing, God, the thing I suffered from delivering my baby.
The cough.
I coughed her out. She shot down, and the guy like was like, "Ooh," and my husband was just like, "What the?" And she spun. It was so hard. She spun like halfway, and she screamed. Yo, it was like that's. I'm gonna write this book, or maybe it would just be an audio book.
A cough got your child out
like this, like that. Sorry, that might be a lot.
No, that was perfect.
Yeah, I said. Do you know how powerful a cough can be? It can collapse a lung.
Yeah. I had COVID,
a sneeze can collapse a lung.
Oh,
that's
boy.
how forceful my coughs were.
What coping mechanism was that?
Oh my goodness.
Man.
Let's go back to 2020. Finally make the list in January. So I'm like, whew, finally make the list. We get the whole weight thing situated. Around the end of 2020, make the list. Only a few weeks later, they called and said, we don't think, this is happening. Now you have COVID, and we don't know how to test.
You had COVID before?
No. COVID was, that was
the thing. Oh,
yep,
that was the start of COVID. Generally. Oh, God, I was about to leave.
That was the start of COVID.
But she got COVID.
I did, you're right.
Twice.
I'm going to say something messed up. I said, because African people will be like, I think she got wished out. How many lives now? 1, 2, 3.
No, facts.
Like, most people would be like, you shouldn't be here.
I say that, part of my testimony. When I was first diagnosed, I was never supposed to make it to 40. I turned 40 in September.
Wow, happy birthday.
Come on now.
Thank you. 82.
We still didn't clap for that, but for Sally Mae.
That's
Yo,
it.
Sally Mae.
We might get one more at the end for that.
Okay. Continue.
They're like, do I have any diseases? Let me see what I can apply for. I think losing a limb is a thing that as long as you're on total disability for more than 3 years, you can get those loans forgiven.
Wow. So a lot of people don't know that either. Man.
Yeah.
Well, they do. But
So it's 2020. They called me back later because you remember we couldn't even test for it. So they couldn't test the lungs to see if it was even good enough to put in me, if they were a good pair of lungs. So they called me back and they were just like, everything shut down. Remember, all the hospitals shut down, everything shut down. On top of that, they had told me I only had about 6 months. That would make it about June, because my body had become so weak that I would probably not be able to withstand the 9-hour surgery.
Oh, man.
At that point, I was like pretty much bed, and the only thing I had left with my dignity is that I could walk to the bathroom, because I refused to have like the commode. Like African people say commode, like I don't know what the toilet, I don't know. And that was that. I remember I was preparing Will, thinking about my doctor had suggested palliative care, hospice, things like that. And I just remember my husband like not participating, which made me very upset, because I'm like, yo, I know you want to be a faithful man, but just in case, he's like, I'm not preparing for death. Wow. When they say people stand in the gap for you, now here comes May. May rolls around. That's the 5th month. And pretty much I'm just like, all right, maybe I got like 1 more, maybe 2 more if it's good, Get a call on a Saturday. Mrs. Amos, we found a pair of lungs for you. Oof. And I was like, yo, I didn't even think you were looking anymore. But like my mom said, God was looking. Like that was God. So the next day I had that surgery, and it was on Mother's Day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's a great way to wrap up the end of a chapter in
this
book. This book is going to be so amazing.
So this is why it's a miracle, and I use that saying. I already told you have to have blood type. I think antibodies, too, is something they test for. Right size, right time, location, because if it's in New York, that's not part of the region of transplant. Timing had to be perfect, because maybe there's no lungs in May. Maybe because there's organs are not like readily available. Yep. You always hear about an organ shortage, right? And then on top of it, the pandemic, which pretty much was supposed to seal the deal for me. And doctors could not do anything. Only God. Only God. Only God. Let me say it again. Only God.
Come on now.
That's what I was looking for.
Nah,
let me get my white claw.
Come on now.
Let me get my white claw.
I feel you.
Only God. And so I stayed in the hospital for 3 weeks. So my husband literally, when he drove me there, mind you, when they call you for lungs, it could be a dry run, they call it, meaning the lungs maybe aren't going to work. They don't see the lungs until they get it in the hospital. And they might tell you, sorry, you drove up here, but it's not going to work. Oh, so many things had to be perfect for this to happen. Husband drives me there, just like, okay, bye, because you can't come in the hospital with me.
Oh, yeah. Goodness.
Talking about walking in the lion's den.
See you later.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And you couldn't protest. I mean, he can't protest that.
No.
He cannot go in. Yeah, you could not go in.
Oh, my goodness.
He'd be willing to sleep on carts and everything.
No, he had his cousin in Boston that he wanted to, stay with. And he did stay there overnight with his cousin. And that was that. Man. Like, everything was just, that's the moment, even though I said I wasn't talking to God, that's the moment you talking to God. Because that surgery, they tell you, and I remember having that last meeting, and they were like, yo, there's no absolute for lung transplant. It's like abstract art. You never know what you're going to get. I've seen people pass away. I've seen, because you're part of this community. And to tell you that my life is a miracle, my recovery is nothing like people have seen. Like, for me to be able to be like, and I survived COVID, and I'm like.
I tell you, I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
It's not me though.
We pulled up at the same time. She said she just came from Zumba class. Like,
oh yeah.
Now I'm just like
Zumba.
No, I'm like this. I'm like.
But yo,
I'm gonna use these lungs.
You have to.
I'm going to use these lungs.
So
wow.
So 3 weeks I was out, mostly for the passion to just get home. Like, you just like, so you can't leave your hospital room. So they have to come and pick you up, take you out. There's no like walking around the hospital like, I'm bored. No, there's none of that. You are in quarantine just like everybody else on the outside.
Yeah.
So it was cold. It was cold. It was very, very cold. Not the nurses. The nurses were great. But just imagine, I remember, like, and after you had that, my faith was high because they told me I was never going to eat again. And you remember I said it had also affected my esophagus. So I had the feeding tube through my nose, and then eventually had to have it in my stomach.
Wow.
And they were just like, listen, your esophagus is just not working. I said, okay. I remember talking to one lady, and I was like, yo, I got a menu. This is the first thing I'm going to eat. And she was like, she called in like one of the psychiatrists, and they were talking to me, and she goes, this was so insensitive. She goes, we sent a man home on Thanksgiving weekend, and you know what happened? He ate. And you know what happened to him? He died.
Oh, damn.
And then, just like that.
Oh, wow.
I was going to say her name. I'm not going to say her name. And then I said to her, but why did you send him home during Thanksgiving? That's like messed up. Like, why would you do that?
He's going to be smelling the food.
Yo, it's very tempting to go to, like, from your last meal to, like, nothing, like, So sent me home. Now it's May. In July, which is my anniversary, my husband decided to cook like steak and how do you say it? Kebabs? Because I was gonna say meat on a stick. The translation, like.
But this one I understood better, Look at Jenny. It's culture, baby. West Africa. What up, though?
Are those lungs you got from an African too?
Right. You know what? That's one of the things I have. That's the last step I have not taken, is to contact my family. It's something I can't wrap my head around. Like, I can't imagine like facing this family.
Right.
The gratefulness, they had to lose somebody. That is not. It does not.
Yeah.
It dawns on me that somebody had to lose a life for me to be living this life. So my life has to be purposed. Somebody sacrificed theirs. Some mother had to decide it was okay to maybe take their child off of a life support, because you can't be brain dead before you give your organs. You can't. I mean, not brain dead. There's something you can't be some type of dead, because once you die, like they pull you off the tube, your organs automatically start dying, and they have to be as fresh as possible. Right. So that's not lost on me. So back to the 4th of July, he left the meat right there. I look left, I look right, I look up. I said, Father, you got me.
She playing games. I would have screamed at you for a full day.
I would have went
I didn't tell anybody until I started telling my testimony. And my mom said, you don't. So, no, she goes, You don't value your life?
After all of that, literally all that, you're going to be taken out by a piece of meat?
Yeah. Listen, not even oatmeal. You're supposed to sound like what cream of wheat farina.
She went straight to the solid
grilled
steak.
Oh my goodness. You got to chew that joint too.
Yeah.
I did, like liquefy it.
No.
Africans don't do medium.
Nah. It's well done.
It's well done and chewy.
And I had to take the pepper that he cut up with it. So yeah.
I would kill you.
After all that, I would kill you.
My faith was high. I was like, God.
Oh man.
Did you tell your husband this?
No.
Like, so
I was secretly eating.
So wait.
No, I'm losing it right now.
You know the show, like My Secret Obsession, and then like the lady smelling gasoline and stuff.
Bim.
I would lose my mind.
Imagine just walking into the room. Maybe you're okay.
Are you chewing?
Next to Oreos.
There's crumbs all on her chest.
Yeah, no. You need oxygen, don't you?
Are you choking?
I would have fully sat there and watched you grasp for air.
I'm following you everywhere.
Now I gotta give you the Heimlich.
I'm following you everywhere.
No.
There's no way.
Are you out of your mind?
You definitely
No
play
way.
too much.
Oh my God.
No way.
I'm mad that that's the thing that made us all mad.
Yeah, no. After all of this, you're telling me?
I'm not even, mind you, I'm not even on the feeding tube. I'm still on a nasal tube.
No.
So before I left, let me justify this.
No. There's no justification. Look at this whole episode is shot to shit now.
There's a chapter you redact that whole thing. Everything's all black.
We're just gonna rework this whole section.
Publisher's gonna call you upset.
Oh man.
I am definitely probably considered a non-compliant patient. So I am begging my doctors to please, because every lung transplant patient, whether you have to be on a feeding tube or not, because most of us are. What happens is sometimes you get acid reflux, so they tell you not to eat for a while. So people will be on it maybe for some time, but they're telling me a lifetime. So I am now asking the doctor to do the swallow test to clear me, because I know I can eat.
I can't believe this. I can't believe this. I am so upset.
I
was like, I know I'm gonna pass this joint.
Her family.
No.
And look, I totally get it. I totally get it. I get it, because I would have been eating too. But
Yes.
So she's like, I just have this hunch.
Imagine her husband sitting in the room like, what do you mean you have a hunch? Oh.
I'm pretty confident this time. Let's get it.
He's like, take your time, babe. Take your time. Be careful.
This is only what? So I had it in March, April, May, June.
Chug it.
4 months. 4 months I'm eating.
Oh my goodness.
You.
Oh, boy.
Yo, you know what? I don't want to derail this story,
goodness.
but
Darren's gonna say
I
something
feel
mean.
like it's like it's like a woman thing.
No, don't do it, Darren.
No, because
No.
listen. I'm definitely gonna throw my wife on the chopping block here.
Oh God, here we
right?
go.
I'm sorry. I really take the
Oh,
but this reminds me of when Kaiser was born, my youngest son. He,
What up, Kai? I know you're listening.
He came out. And he came out with complications. He wasn't breathing correctly. They were very concerned, so they brought him up to the NICU, and he was in the NICU. I don't know.
Let me do something. Go ahead, keep
Wait,
going.
now this is like church service. Like,
Yeah, go ahead. Keep going.
Tell your testimony.
I have to testify. And so he's in there, and they're telling us he can't eat anything because they're very worried about his lungs and him not being able to breathe properly. Blah 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 blah. So we go see him. We can't even touch the kid. And we brought my wife upstairs to see him. She's like, very emotional moment because she can't touch him. Nobody touched him. So after like a day, they're like, "Oh, he's getting better. I think he's getting better, and he should, if he keeps on this path, he'll be able to come down and hang out with you guys." We're like, "Cool, wonderful, yeah." And then my wife looks at me and she goes, "I gave him breast milk." And I said, "What do you mean you gave him?" I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, I knew he was hungry, so I put a little breast milk on my finger and I gave it to him while he was in the NICU." I was like, "You did what?"
You know what? I commend your wife, because at least she told you.
She did. She told me like 2 days later, and I was like, "What?"
Wow.
All right.
Thank you. Yes.
My friend. Well, how you?
But I was doing it to myself, though.
That doesn't make it okay.
After everybody done fight for me. Wait.
What's
What's the line? It was a show.
From Tyra Banks. We were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. I think that in my head every time somebody messes up.
Right. That's me right now.
You're a crazy person.
I'm
She's like, I am, yes.
She's like, I'm a praying woman.
I'm praying. I'm a woman of faith. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And sometimes if you ever listen, because now I love Michael Todd. I know some people don't agree with him because of the spit thing. Look it up if you don't know. He had this sermon called Crazy Faith. Crazy Faith. And I understood that sermon very well, because I told you in the beginning, I felt like I didn't understand when I went to the churches and they couldn't really fill that kind of definition for me, because my issue was so different from just like waiting for a job or waiting for this or just hanging on. I'm like, dang, I can't hang on no more if I fall down. That's it. Like, that's it. So here I am. Now it's like 4 months in, I'm eating like a whole kebab.
Oh my God.
And
She's
like, I'm working my way up.
It's egregious.
It's insane.
It's
Preposterous. It is
not telling anybody. In September, the day after my birthday, they put the feeding tube in. I was like, dang, you didn't have to do that. But I can't tell them I've been eating at the same time.
Good for you.
So I just go and do the surgery. Like,
You went through a whole procedure because you didn't want to be honest.
Oh my goodness.
or guess what? I'm a woman of faith, but not always honest. I'm still human.
It's literally a whole procedure.
I never looked at it like that.
I love this.
A whole procedure.
I
That she was just
love
like,
this.
okay, yeah, let's do it, doctor.
You're right.
You know better. You know best.
So when I tell you women are hold a lot better than a man, surgery family.
I would have gave up. I would have.
All right, hey! I don't want to count backwards.
I've been eating.
I got to tell you
I've been
something.
eating.
I confess.
Wait,
Hey, I'm fine.
No. I have to open my teeth.
Remember that time you found the floss? And I was like, I don't know where that came from. I lied.
Oh man.
But no, she went through a whole surgery.
Oh
my God.
Amazing. That's in the book. That's in the book.
Oh, man.
At this time, my mother-in-law had come to live with us, and unfortunately, she didn't make it through the year. So we had things coming back to back to back to back.
And
got
you have
the
a baby.
feeding tube, and it didn't stay. It fell out by itself because what happened was
You was reaching for a kebab.
what I think happened.
Oh my goodness.
You're only supposed to put your liquid, like, dietary needs, I'll say that, in it. But I was eating, so the balloon popped. And then it just fell out. So then I was like, because at this time I was like, yeah, I'm eating.
You see the shrug? He said, and then it just fell out.
Yo, y'all making me look at this totally different.
The fact that she's now just realizing,
I'm a miracle there, right? You're voting for a miracle.
Right.
You're right. Your husband is very kind because the whole time he knows all this. He's like, I'm not even gonna yell at her.
No.
I'm not even gonna make her look at it the other way.
But now.
What is done.
I am cutting my fufu at this point. Like, listen, the okra sauce going down, everything going down. This esophagus that's not working is going boom, boom, boom. Like, it's happening. It's happening.
Wow.
So, but though, it's very stereotypical. When you're African, the things your parents feed you, chicken feet, palm butter, tabagi, like your whole system, I feel, is fortified.
Yeah.
That whole digestive tract, they're like, what? What is this liquid? We could take it. We could
take
it.
Come on, it's built different. Yeah, I can't handle that. It's fine.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
You know what's so funny? That you say that? I had scoliosis when I was a kid. I had back surgery, whatever. And so our good friend Makiba, she always laughs at me because I don't like fufu. I don't eat it. Ever since she found out that piece of information, that's why you had scoliosis, because you didn't have strong bones. Every single time.
Yes. We believe things like that. Yes. We believe you.
With your little weak ass bones.
Yeah. And that's why we will feed our kids chicken bones
Real
and
talk.
have them like straighten
Darren.
their
gnawing on it.
You're teething here? No.
Your teething, right?
Put them gums in. It says.
I'm tired and hot.
Teeth be straight as mug.
Yo.
My teeth strong as hell. I was just at Paolucci.
Right? I'm going next week.
Cord.
I just remember we were working out.
Gotta work the cord.
Yeah,
that might be a
is a good
title.
one.
That's another one.
Oh man, you, my friend. I don't even know what to say.
Darren's like, I just met you, but how? I don't know how I feel.
Oh man.
Yeah, so that happened. It fell out, and at that time I was like, yo, I'm already eating. Do you want me to come up there and put it back in? They're like, nah.
She made it sound like it was the doctor's suggestion at this point. Like, I mean, if you want
to waste your time or not?
I mean, I don't really need it, but I mean, if you think I do.
Well, they figured it out because so you have to do the feeding, right? And then I was doing the feeding, which has like a certain calorie count, and I was eating, and I was getting 10 pounds, like 10 pounds amount, 12 pounds amount.
Oh.
Plus I was on prednisone. And they were just like, your weight is off the charts. And you said I wasn't going to be here.
I'm eating good in the neighborhood.
I cannot. Oh,
I've gained 70 pounds since then. Yeah. I've gained 70 pounds, which is fine, but it goes to show maybe that chart's a little wrong.
Very wrong.
That's all. I'm not
the end.
Right.
I don't know, because I think I would have felt some type of way if they were like, so we were going to, typically we put people on liquid diets after this type of surgery, but if you want to go back to eating fufu, it should be fine. It should be fine. You've been eating it all your life? Yeah.
Your diet consists of oxtail? Yeah, you're dead.
Hey, no, you're fine.
Because when you suck the marrow.
That's what we believe that.
Nutrients, baby.
So that was probably in 2021. I started exercising. I started life started to be normal for me while everybody else was living abnormally now. So I looked at people being unsure about what's going on in their lives, scared this disease is coming. I'm like, yo, I'll tell you about, I could relate to that. I could relate to what people were feeling. Government's telling you something, which I relate to, doctors telling me stuff. You're just like, what's going on? My life just went from working every day, 40 hours commute, to shut down. We shut down. Yeah. So I was like, I got it. I get you. And I can really encourage people through not only their emotions, but what do you do next? Yeah. So I take my 7 years, 2017 and on, as definitely experience I add to this campaign, which is why I'm here. So after everything, right?
Honestly, there's not even a reason for any of us to ask why you're running, because you can do anything.
You're clearly Superwoman.
How many more lives do I know this way?
Right. But all those experiences as a public service, who can't you relate to? Who can't you have empathy for? It's where else would you be? It's set up for that.
God is so funny, because I met a man that we did a cleanup together recently, and he told me about his child that's 7 months old and that has a rare lung disease. I was like, wow, what? Well, so we started talking, and I was just like, what if this is just the reason, right? This is just the reason.
The feeling that he gets from being able to talk to somebody who can relate to what he's going through, that's so rare.
It's different.
Unmatched.
It's different.
Unmatched.
That might be the one thing he needed.
And that's what it is. I think, in a world where we've had a lot of fear instilled in us in over 2 years, I've been in that seat of fear, and I've been in that seat of faith. So how do we turn our communities of fear and economic fear, health fear, generational fear, meaning what's going to happen to the next generation? How do we turn that into a vision that we can run with? It's different. Because when you said you follow me, before there was a time I posted nothing but children. I seemed a little creepy because I would share other people's children as well. My friend was like, stop doing that. But I would post little girls, and I would be like, this is my daughter. Or I post one where it's just this is me and my daughter on her first day of school, just images. Because I really do believe you have to write the vision, or whatever new age is manifest, do your vision board. But that's a biblical, principle that I live by. When I got pregnant, and they revealed what I was having, because at this point, this is my last shot, first and last shot, right? And I was like, man, being Nigerian, I have to have a boy. The pressure was on. Somebody must carry on the legacy.
And coming to America.
Right.
Hakeem couldn't even let his daughter
You're
rule.
stupid. Nobody talks about the second one, Jen. Nobody talks about the second one.
We talked about it that weekend. That's it. It didn't happen. Not at all.
So when I found out it was a girl, I had such a breakdown, because I felt that, you know, that was my last chance. And my friend reminded me, she goes, look back on your post. You only posted girls because that's what your heart desired.
Wow.
So thank God that he gave you your heart's desire.
Wow.
So I do believe in, I really do believe in that. I posted a video that I did we did the Ebola Be Gone. So the librarians got together and we were like, yo, Ebola Be Gone, we're gonna collect supplies. It was really successful. I love working with young people. And I remember doing this off the top of my head, I was doing a speech and I was calling them the Joshua generation. I was saying, y'all gonna tear down walls. I was telling them about King Josiah being the youngest, and he was the most successful because he gleaned from the wisdom of his elders. We don't see that, today, but those are things that it's a two-sided thing. So while I'm saying this speech, because we got the rally together in 5 days, and I said, if we can do this in 5 days, imagine what we can do in 5 years. One of us could be in that seat. 10 years later, I'm running.
Man.
I didn't know. It was almost like I was prophesying over myself.
Wow.
So your words are very powerful. I'm very careful what I say over my daughter. I'm very careful what I speak into my life. I don't know if you guys know Sterling, what is her name now? Clinton? No. Sterling. Her husband's opening up Incredible. Us talking when I was getting to the core, and I remember sharing with her because the position I had at my job, which was a staff advocate, was good for campaigning. Going out there, it was nice that you had this minority that was fighting because I could relate with a lot of people. But when it came to advocating in-house, they wouldn't even let me sit in the room when they were mediating with other staff. How can I do my job? So I'm just there.
Like
right?
Kanye said at the Gap, they show if they token blackie.
Yeah. So I was
not calling you a token. I'm just quoting Kanye.
I was the Oreo, so it's okay.
It's a prerequisite.
Right.
Oh,
so
boy.
Totally cool with that. So understanding that kind of role when I sat at the table too. I told her at that time I was feeling a lot of pressure because you know what's right, you know what you're supposed to do, and then you feel like you're just being used. And I remember saying to myself a lot like, y'all suffocating me. I feel like I'm suffocating, and bam, I spoke those words as I got more frustrated. I'm not saying, I do believe in spiritual things, so I'm very careful what I say now, So I'm going to say it right here and declare that I'm earning now $1 billion.
Let's go.
That's gold. Okay.
Half for me. We cousins.
I'm very careful what I speak over young people.
Yes.
I'm very careful, just things like that, just because I've had such a spiritual journey. It was a physical one as well, but it really was like being in the wilderness. Because nobody could relate. They were just like, best of luck. Like, that's pretty much what I had. A lot of friends fell away, and I thank God for that now, because now that I'm running, I'm beholden to no one.
Yeah.
I don't owe anybody. I don't have to say, oh, we've worked together, or, I know you want to do this. Like, no. I'm running because I know what God has called me for. That's one. And just another thing, like, just the way politics are now, people are very disengaged. And one of the reasons is that we're so busy, so we just want to vote for the person that will have that integrity to do right by us. And another reason is we can't have a gray area in politics anymore.
Right.
You're either this or that, and they use those little catchphrases like pro-life and pro-choice. Who ain't pro-life though?
Right.
Like the catchphrase don't even make sense. Yeah. Like you're gonna say, my life sucks. I'm not pro-life. I'm just gonna you don't. Wait, sorry. Let me put a disclaimer for anyone that thinks of suicide and they think their life sucks. It's not I don't want to dismiss that. I don't want to be dismissive of what I just said. But nobody is going to just say, I'm not pro-life.
Right.
We all fight to do better.
Yeah.
But there's no compromise anymore. There's no accountability. there's just things that as I sat there going through my process, because what was it? That was probably like the Trump years, right? So I'm sitting through the Trump years.
Yeah,
like,
actually, yeah.
like
On top of
looking
everything
at
else.
the,
This guy's on Twitter still. Oh my goodness gracious.
That's true.
like, you know what, Lord?
Man.
You can take me.
Oh man.
Right.
Oh,
Right. And
dang.
so there's we don't have a sense of generosity anymore because when you have fear, you think there's scarcity too.
Toilet paper.
Toilet paper.
That was the oddest thing to me.
Oh,
that was the oddest
man.
thing to me. Generosity of time, because we have the same time as money. So when we look at our young people, if you ain't paying me to go, share that with them, like those initiatives I don't see happening.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I feel that we can, and that's the thing, you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
No.
We can look at other states and what has happened for them or what they've implemented that have mitigated their social ills. And we can call them in and say, hey, can you help us with this issue? Rhode Island doesn't have to be closed off. Outreach is very important. And so I think in my time, I was just able to sit back and God gave me a different perspective of things that could happen. So with that, here I am in 2013. Yep, 20. So I'm not saying this to boast or saying that I am, like I said, words are important. When I win,
There we go.
it would be in 2023, I start my term, which would make it an exact 10 years since 2013 when I
Yo.
said that.
Yo.
So that,
Full circle.
full circle.
So can I ask? It was District 5.
District 5, which includes Charles, Elmhurst, and One Shock.
Okay.
I'm always open to volunteers. Y'all see me like I'm down to earth. Like I don't take anything serious either. Like when I say serious, of course I take like making changes and organize. But like
You don't take things personally.
yeah, or I don't take myself so serious. Like I'm going to be this politician or whatever.
Pantsuits all day, yeah.
Yeah, no, not even. I want people to be able to have that kind of like vulnerability, because vulnerability will get you the help you need.
For sure.
But when we put up that like I can do it all by myself kind of mentality, it doesn't work. It hasn't been working, and that's on both sides of the aisle. Like we're not going to help the Democrats or Democrats like it's
We need
just
each
ridiculous.
other.
We need each other. Exactly.
Are there things specific to District 5 that you're like aware of or that you're looking to implement or try to get going?
Yeah.
So when you're a representative, not only do you represent the area that you're in, you make decisions for the state with other representatives.
Okay.
So issues that come across the table, you have a say in it. And plus you have to, again, advocate for people to see things like, hey, we need universal health care because this doesn't make sense. So you're playing this game of chess. So it's not just what can I do for my district, but those decisions are going to impact all of Rhode Island as well. But in my district specifically, so the area I live in is Charles Street, where you think of the Walmart,
Yes.
Walmart area. You think of around PC area.
Yep.
That would be
That's Elmhurst, right?
River Ave, I think.
going down to One Chalk. That's like PC area.
Admiral Street.
You think of those areas. You think of the disparities in those areas, because when you go down, then you hit like the Charles Brown area, which is I think I have a little bit of that. They also redistrict, so I haven't gotten on my new updated map.
Okay.
So for my thing, what I think I can do is say, I want to listen to you. I want to hear what you want. Because I feel like our politicians stopped listening. They're just doing what they want, what they feel is, though we have entrusted them in that, they just stopped listening to us. So when I was just grabbing my signatures, I had a little like legal pad, and I was just like, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Most people, I don't think they even understand the impact that politics make. Like you said that, oh, he doesn't like politics. Whether you like politics or not, politics gonna do you.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why I think our engagement is very important. Right. How do we move as a force? How do we get ourselves together? Because here's the thing, working in policy-driven campaigns, I learned you have to ask while the budget hasn't been done. Like the budget is still open, and then you're like, yo, we want that. And if you give us that, we can get you elected. I've seen people in Rhode Island doing it backwards. Now it's election time. Everybody's going, what do you want? What do you want? And we're like, well, we'll give you the vote if you do this for me. That's not a promise.
Nope.
That's not like
Nope.
we gotta flip that. We gotta learn how to do politics right. That's why we get disappointed sometimes, because I feel like maybe we're not educated enough or organized enough to make that impact. Then you're like, right? You get kind of apathetic, like, well, I asked for this and I didn't get it.
Yeah.
We have to learn when to ask, how to ask, and come together. And come together just like unions do. Just like unions do. It's very important. So, like, one of my things is civic education. I think that's empowerment for people when they know.
Right there.
When they know the impact they can make.
Yeah.
That's a great segue, because I was going to ask you, because we talk about, even though we say we don't like to, we talk about politics in different levels all the time here, and we always say the national politics is what gets all the fanfare, but the local is what really affects you in your day to day.
Right.
And so here we are in Rhode Island. You kind of hear and see primaries September, and you're just like, I don't even know what that means. So can you kind of break down the process between now and the last election day in Rhode Island, so that people know when to vote or what they need to do?
Yes.
Great job, Jen. That was good.
That was a good question.
She's a political correspondent,
Hey,
and that's why I point like this when I address her.
when he talks to me.
So the vote, you can vote on September 13th. But since COVID happened, we opened up mail-in ballots, in-person ballots. You can vote early in Rhode Island. You can vote 20 days before the 13th. Okay. So there's no excuse not to vote. Hey, I'm too busy. I got my job. I got my kids. What you're giving up is your power. That job you're complaining about, you could be making the vote for a $19 increase. According to, I forgot the website name, so forgive me. The minimum wage nationally should be $25.10.
Yes.
That's what it costs
To live.
Wow. And people are not even at 15. But when you say, let me go work these extra hours because I'm only making so much, when you can just say, let me vote so I don't have to work as hard.
Yeah, it's true.
That's power. That's power. When you get sick and you've paid so much into healthcare, and then you lose your healthcare, and it doesn't matter how many years you've been paying into. Can I get an amen? And then they say, sorry, you're not covered anymore. That's a problem. Why are you going to sit there and suffer when you could vote?
It's true.
When we talk about children and education, because I'm bringing home a C, you get mad at me. But you say you don't have time to attend school board meetings because you got to work. Don't do that. Vote. If you know, like, the Providence school systems were taken over by the state, and that was right before COVID, and nothing has really been done because of COVID. So the quality education in Rhode Island is boo. Yeah. Okay? It's boo. Those things, we do have a chance to make an impact and change those things. You put the right person in office, hopefully me. That's what I want to fight for. Quality education, universal health care, because it doesn't make sense right now. And increasing our wages more, especially within. How many times you're gonna put up the interest rate? Now nobody can buy a home. I can't even buy a used car.
I think it's the 4th time they increased it this year.
Yep. And they're set to do it more?
Yeah.
Listen,
But why not just increase our wages?
The way everything's going up is crazy. Like,
everything's fake.
You know how, we sold our house end of last year, whatever, cool. The house that's next door that had to be fixed up, I just looked today on Zillow, just sold for $90,000 more than I sold my house for.
What did you just say?
Sold it in December.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's the same house.
Yo.
Like, it's legit, literally the same house.
Imagine this is what we're complaining about. Imagine what our young people are going through. Those who are graduating out of high school, those who are graduating out of college. First of all, I ain't going to college right now because I can't afford the debt I get into. Yeah. Not that I can't afford to get out loans, because they'll give you loans all day before they give you business loans. They give you education loans, which sounds smart, right? I'll grab all these skills and be able to get a job. That sounds smart. But then when you have to pay back with the money that you're not making, you're destitute.
The math ain't math.
Yeah, the math ain't math.
Yo, I really get sad when I drive by the hospital and I just look into the parking lot, because I'm like, if these are all doctors' cars, they should be all like awesome cars, and you'll see some like, dang.
Right. some of them cough.
Somebody,
Like, yeah, I seen that.
somebody in this building is saving
Don't cough
lives
too
right
loud. I
now.
want you to cough too loud. Be careful.
Somebody's in there saving lives, and then they gotta risk their life on the highway.
Seatbelt don't buckle and stuff. No, I get it. No, that's not
Crazy.
This is what we're talking about. And then on top of it, we're seeing these mass shootings of these young people who are around the age of 22, 23. Those are the ages you're coming out of school. They've been promised a dream. But when you come out, you did everything you were supposed to do in life. That's frustrating.
And then they'll lie to some groups and say, well, you ain't get your dream because of that person. So it's nasty out here.
It is. It is. And it takes a person with integrity to be like, I'm not going to be swayed because now my daughter is coming up in this. In Rhode Island, we need to cultivate more young political leaders.
I agree.
I don't know if they even, I can't say because I really don't know the organizations out there, but for young people, young minority children, I remember, was it not classical, it's called PCTA. One of the schools sued because they were not teaching civics.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh.
You can look that up. I think it recently got decided, and I think they won.
Oh, yeah. I heard that.
Right.
Yes.
Why do we have to do all that? We
should've
need to
just
start
been in place.
We need to start cultivating our children to be empowered to take those seats of leadership.
And civics is important. That's
Yeah.
like when you
Yo,
literally
this is
learn
why we have
the
this
three
confusion
branches.
right now.
That's when you learn the three branches of government,
Yeah.
how they work,
Right.
who's been the
They don't want you to know
president.
that.
You know,
You say there?
They don't want them to know that.
And that's
That's
the
And that's
problem.
why
Right.
that's
Yeah.
why things
Yeah.
like January 6th happens.
Yeah.
That's why things like Trump thinking he probably doesn't know the civics, right? He came as a businessman, whatever. He's like, yeah, I can stay in here and be a dictator. That's not how it works, right?
Stop me.
because he's been in like hundreds of lawsuits in his life. So he's thinking when they're telling him about, oh, well, they can sue you. He's like, yeah, it's fine. I've dodged 300 lawsuits.
Right.
But no, this is a different type of lawsuit, fam. Like,
Yeah,
it's different.
We're looking at jail time. and so all of these things, because we're so distracted with what has been happening, it's sad. I don't see things getting poured into the youth like I would like.
Yeah, for sure.
I talked to this young man. He goes by Rah on Facebook. And listen, when you're another name on Facebook, that is what I'm going to call you. Okay? There's so many people. I just see them. And I'm like, hey, so and so. That's not my name. Oh, that's your name on Facebook.
That's your name on Facebook.
Okay,
man.
so we're going to keep it. And he told me how he was part of the foster care system because he was like, oh, what do you want to do? What do you want to? And I was like, yeah, prison reform. I was into prison reform, transitional programs which prisoners do have. And he goes, I was a foster kid. He told me his story. He goes, it's nice that prisoners get a second chance, but I never got a first.
Damn.
Oof.
Damn. Damn.
I was like, what do you mean? He goes, well, by the time I'm 18, they don't have to take care of me. They can be like, bye.
Yeah.
And there's no transition programs for these young people.
Oh.
He said he's been in and out, not because he wants to be a criminal, but because he has nowhere else to go. Like, no, the skills that he has is not getting him an apartment when there's no affordable housing. You're forcing these kids to make some decisions. You know what I mean? These are things we don't talk about because we're too busy talking about whatever.
Starbucks cups.
And in full circle, then
I'm an environmentalist too.
full circle, then somebody comes up to somebody like this kid and says, hey, you want to take this experimental medicine for 500?
Boom.
Yes, Alex.
Double dose.
It's not even a thing
Right.
to think about. Wow.
So that's what I mean when I got to sit down, because when you're working, you don't get to sit down and think about all of these things.
True.
It took me having to really have to be like to really have to be in the house just watching news, because I don't care. In the Trump era, it was like breaking news.
Every
It's
day.
like, oh my God, are we bombing? Like, what is going on?
Every day I was
Every
nervous.
day.
Like,
Every
I'm
day.
sweating
So
thinking
I had
about
to educate myself, like, how come he's allowed to do that? How come he's not that I didn't know, but when you do community organizing, it's more like, okay, advocacy, da. It's a different type of advocacy once you're in a seat of leadership.
Right.
And it's a different kind of power. Don't get me wrong. Community leaders are awesome. Awesome. We do the work. I will consider myself a community leader, even if nobody else does. But they do awesome work. But now we need to step it up.
For sure.
Now we need to step it up. That's all. We need to start making sure there's other leaders that are ready to take the position, because you want somebody that's competent as well.
Right.
We don't want somebody like, I'm so sorry, Trump, to just be like, I'm in here, and we're seeing those people move into power. We're seeing what do they call QAnon?
Yeah.
QAnon people, they're running. They're bold. We got to be just as bold.
And they'll get votes.
And the people that are already in office who even if they weren't in that lane, now they're following that lane to get that support.
Yeah.
Because representation matters.
Yeah. So that's why, like, what you're doing is that important, because you broke down, like, because people just say vote, get out there and vote. But the things that they care about, like, how do they know is, like, being addressed? And
exactly.
You getting out there and educating people, or actually asking
it has to go hand in hand.
So we need that, because on the other side, that's what they're doing in that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Versus the old way of hope and pray Democrats, where you just, vote Democrat and hope for the best. Like, we actually need action. Touch the people. Listen to the people.
So people are falling away, or not falling away because they're not going to change to Republicans, but people are very disappointed in the inactions of the Democrat right now, where you can have somebody like Mitch McConnell that's like, yeah, Obama, you can assign a judge, but
it ain't gonna matter.
We're gonna change. We're gonna change the rules on you.
Right.
We're gonna move the goalposts, and Democrats are like, okay,
we're still gonna play
and
by
that's
the
where I get frustrated.
We're gonna play by the
get
rules.
frustrated.
Because if they can fight like that, why you can't?
Right. So I remember, like, with the Roe v. Wade that just passed, there was a young black senator, I believe, who was like, if they do that, then we need to do things like add more seats to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
We need to do things like get rid of the filibuster.
Yeah.
So why haven't, like...
Yeah, like, it's...
They're not... Yeah.
Like, we
Just
all
like
playing
they're
Uno. Y'all cheating, and I'm still following the rules. Yo, you gonna get beat down.
We're still following the rules, though. We're still following the rules, but we're just not taking action.
And
we're making these
not?
threats.
Yeah.
If your mom told you... Sorry.
Let it come out. Let it come out.
She heard it. She thought, no. That sounded like one of my
You said brought today, right? And I
know
wanted
what?
to say good job.
My people, sometimes when you be talking all day you've been talking in your political tone. Your tongue get tired.
Yeah.
So it just slips sometimes. I can see myself definitely going on the field. Going in front of the General Assembly like, listen.
That's good. That's going to be the hard part.
Right.
That's going to be the hard part.
Oh man, the hard part of a black woman's life, no matter where she's at.
Right.
So I have to ask for this: do you need funding, or is it just?
I'm glad
getting
you
the people on the
asked.
side?
That sounded like a setup, though.
I really had
I'm
no
glad
idea.
you
I had
asked.
no idea.
Politics does take funding. Politics does it. I have to market myself. Like, I know I'm coming back to a community that they didn't forget me, but I haven't been active. I'll be honest. I was on my own, like 40 days and 40 nights, like in the wilderness, right? So the name recognition for me is not there. Plus, again, I understand. I worked in Massachusetts. I will not say, I learned a lot. Yeah. I learned a lot, and I'm willing to bring those skills back. But yes, it does take funding for me to keep pushing through. So you can definitely go on Act Blue. Let me spell it out just in case people don't understand. A as in apple. Act Blue, and look for Kormasa Amos.
Is it actblue.org or actblue?
I think it's a .com.
Okay.
I'll check. You talk.
Yeah. And so you can definitely donate. Right now, I've been asking people for just $20.
Okay.
I mean, with everything being so hard, I understand. This is not a big political year, so people, I don't want to speak for people, but I feel like times are hard for people to give, but $20 from so many people can do so much. Yeah. The little bit can help.
.com.
I need to market myself. That's why I thank you guys for the opportunity to come on, show my personality. People know. Some people know my story, but then they're like, they don't really know me. Right. I'm not just that story. Like you said, it's just a chapter. We're gonna edit some things out. And so when I told my mom I was running, she was like, "But wait now, I thought you were gonna write this book." And so, she's like, "You went to school, you got your communications. I know you're a good writer. You should write the book. It will get you money." To tell you the truth, I have not been able to write like I did because it's still traumatic for me to relive some of those things. I'm slowly starting to laugh about things, but it's just like, dag. So I told my mom, I said, but what if this is just the beginning of my story?
Right.
What if this was what do they call it? The
prologue.
The prologue to the rest of the story.
It's like that Kanye doc.
Bingo.
Yo.
Bingo. I was thinking the same thing. Bingo.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they would have stopped recording and be like, oh, he made it with The Rock. All right, boom, it's done.
You
That's
thought.
Thank you for that.
It's true.
I could be like Kanye. And Kanye tried to run for office.
So maybe you don't
I'm
want
sure
that
you'll do way better
correlation.
than that. I'm sure you'll do way better.
You don't want that.
So yeah, Act Blue, please give. If you have $20, you know.
And just just to clarify, it's not only people from your district, right? Anybody can donate. Okay.
Anybody can give. Anybody can endorse. Anybody. I ask for people that know me, that have known me, to testify. I don't even know how to say it, but
on your character.
Yeah, my character. Yeah. Because people who don't know me, they're like, can I trust them? Can I, even though you can hear the story, you still don't know me. Yeah. And people need to know that I'm a candidate that has not only been through something, but I've learned through what I've been through. And it's because of that pain, I will say it again, you have purpose. Yes. There's a saying that says, when the pain pushes, the vision pulls. And that's what I'm talking about, writing the vision. I had to put, if I showed you my gallery, I have pictures of me on my daughter's wedding day. I have pictures of me being old with my husband, like pictures that I feel like I can be in that setting. Yeah. That's my vision pulling, because I had to live through the pain in order, because I'm going to be able to see that vision.
That's right.
So this is where we are now. I tell people, I do have a new vision for Rhode Island. I might be governor.
Hey, listen.
Let's do it.
Listen.
I do have a vision for District 5. I do have a vision for impacting lives. I do have a vision. And a lot of people I know may doubt, like, yo, it's just too much. It's too late. It's a little too late. Listen, I was on my deathbed when I received my call. I was packing to go home to heaven, okay? But I'm still here. It's never too late to make changes.
That's right.
And I hope this optimism, people will run with me, because they say, when you see the vision, run with it.
Yes.
So I tell people, and I know people are busy, but if you're waiting on me to make a change, please don't vote for me. Right. And I know probably that's the worst thing to say. But if you're willing to work with me, come, run with me. Maybe I won't even finish it because I was retired, but somebody needs to finish it, right? So that's where we are.
Love that. Love that. Yeah. And that's actblue.com.
Act Blue. I know my Niger people. Let me be direct.
Come
all your princesses and your kingdom just play.
Calling all Nigerians. Calling all Nigerians. Right. This is a
come
green
and spray
alert.
me. Come and spray me.
Wow, baby.
That little money gun.
No, hey, I got one in the thing.
Of course you do.
Money don't. So mad about that. Liberian people, Ghanaian, Black Americans, white people, Asian people, something about Rhode Island. You can find any part of the world in Rhode Island.
Yes.
That is
okay.
The fact.
Yes.
You can find any part of the world. So I'm not excluding everybody. I just don't know the whole world.
That Animaniac song.
United States, Canada.
This guy's nuts.
Right. I'm calling all of us to work together. People ask, why is Rhode Island like the way it is? One thing that makes us great is that we have a lot of diversity.
Seriously.
Lots of diversity. At the same time, we live in these silos.
Yeah.
Very
right?
divided.
Yeah. When you go, somebody was like, when I go to I was talking to my friend Grace, and she goes, when I lived in Maryland, there was no you're an African from Liberia or whatever. You just black, or you just white, or you just poor, or you just rich. And so we need to start coming together, not because of our culture, but because of where we all are now. Yeah. Where we all are now. So that's really important for Rhode Islanders to come together and start to fight for what they really want.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I wanted to acknowledge and big up your base, your foundation, through faith, your family, for being with you through everything that you went through up until now and going forward.
Yes.
Clap it up. Not just because the husband's Nigerian.
My husband.
But because your mother, because that's not easy.
No.
Being the loved one to someone going through that kind of physical trauma, and man, for them and the faith.
Right.
I
remember my mom feeling very guilty at one point because she is a nurse practitioner, and not that she ever ignored the symptoms. She just felt like, man, with all the education I had, I should have pushed more. I should have, but when the doctor's telling you, are you the doctor?
Right.
It makes you feel some type of way. So my mom definitely went through it. There was a lot of push and pull because there was a time I decided I didn't want okay, I'm so sorry. We're going back to the feeding tube. I didn't want the surgery because once they told me I would be on a feeding tube for the rest of my life, I said, I can't do it. I can't, because it might sound like it's just food. You have to understand, American food is very different from the rest of the world. Yes. So I'm not even going to say white food. American food is very different. Let's just say that. I have been exposed to so much, and you say that I have to cut it off for the rest of my life at 30-something. Yeah, I couldn't do it. I couldn't see myself. I didn't have that vision. Let's just say that. Okay. So I said no. I didn't want the surgery because I knew I wasn't going to be. I told him in the beginning I was going to be compliant. Actually, I did. But then.
And you added a JK like you do on a text when you're like, I went too far.
LOL.
JK.
Yeah. And so I remember a lot of people putting pressure on me, like, you've come so far, da-da-da. And one of my friends, Lauren, she was like, she respected my decision. And that's big, too, that we respect decisions when it comes to faith, when it comes to medicine, things like that. And she was like, if that's what you'll be at peace with, then I agree with you. And then my mom was like, I do not agree. That was just it. Yeah, we've come too far. So, there was a point that I was just like, it wasn't giving up. I just couldn't see my life like without palm butter. I couldn't see.
Priorities.
Yeah, listen.
You gotta live if you're gonna live.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna live to your fullest, right?
That could also need to be a shirt. You gotta live if you're gonna live.
Right.
That's for everybody out here listening.
So when I go out now, I eat things. I'm very cautious of what I eat. I can't eat off of buffets and stuff because how people gather. People are very understanding when I say that. I'm not supposed to eat vegetables and stuff. I want to.
Oh, because they don't break down or what?
No, because they're more likely to have a recall, salmonella, things like that. Oh, wow. So when I say vegetables, like outside, like having a salad or something. You know how Ruby Tuesday used to have the salad bar? Let me tell you, that is disgusting.
Listen, I be in buffets.
Right.
I'm not hating on buffets because I used to be a person that went to the Chinese buffet after church.
Come on now. But then when
you think about it, you're like,
so if I'm gonna eat, I'm gonna make sure I can keep on eating and make those decisions. The only thing I have not ate since transplant is the Liberian tabagi, which is very hot. I don't eat a lot of spicy food, things like that. But everything else, and Makiba be having those food sales.
Listen, big up Kiba Crab, yo.
Yes,
delicious.
I had a birthday party a couple months ago, and one of my friends saw Makiba at the club before the party, and I didn't know this. And so the next day I hit up Makiba like, yo, okay, I know what I want you to make for my party. Can you please make me a pan of Rasta pasta?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. I almost messed up and got fried rice. And I said, wait a minute, there's something greater for you, Jen. It's your birthday.
Right.
It's your birthday. And so she was like, oh, matter of fact, I just saw Ren at the club, and she said, whatever you want, if you want me to do something, she'll pay for it. So she's going to pay for your Rasta pasta.
Amazing.
And it was the star of the party. Everybody asked about that Rasta pasta.
Yes. I've known, me and Makiba, like, she asked the question once, like, posted, like, how long have you known me, or who's known me the longest? And I knew you when you were in the belly, so that's how far. Mm-hmm. So her mom lived on the second floor and we lived on the first floor. So when her mom, so I was already there. Wow. I was like, I was just waiting for you.
I needed a friend.
Listen. And so, no, she's one of those people that will like a great support to me too. Plus, she's hilarious. Oh. So it helps when you have that kind of person that's like
keep a top 5 funny.
She is.
that top joke forever.
Forever.
SPOON.
Oh, the spoon. Yes. I don't want to hate. That's not an original. But like even people will also say the car that they drive is LEG2.
Yeah.
LEG2.
Legs.
I love Liberians.
That was good.
Oh my goodness.
You got the new model?
Yeah.
Stupid.
Listen.
Anything else you want to tell the people before?
No, I want people to. I definitely want to talk to people. I want people to reach out. The phone, you can always check out my website. It's Vote for Core.
Oh, you got a website?
Yep. It's going to be published tonight. Sorry.
It's up now as you're listening.
Right. Sorry, you can check out my social media. There's nothing that I hide there. Everything I've talked about today, except the whole feeding tube experience, is up on like my journey. Like you said, I've shared my journey. There's nothing that I hide about myself. And that's, I really see myself really making an impact in that I really see myself making an impact as a representative for District 5. So I'm asking people to support me financially as well as vote for me. And like I said, early voting starts. You don't have to wait. There's no excuse not to vote. It's just up to you. You do have to request the mail-in ballot, I think, though.
Okay.
And so I started putting that information up too, so people are informed that, there's no excuse.
Yeah. Check your registration status as well. Make sure you're registered to vote.
I think they're allowing prisoners to start voting. Wow. I will double check that. Those are things, you like for me, you've done your time, so stop punishing them.
Right.
So that's it. And I just want to say one more time, I thank you guys for this experience, my people.
Hey, West Africa, baby.
Yeah. So back to the voting. Mm-hmm. So you said the primaries is in September, and then is that like the Democratic primary and the Republican primary?
Nope, it's just one party primary. So once I win,
let's go. And
I'm not saying that, like I said, I speak it as though it is. Once I win, if there is a Republican opponent, then we would go to the next phase. Mm-hmm. Okay. But from what I know, I didn't see a Republican. I do have I think it was 6 other people. I'm not sure if everybody made the signature, because once I made mine, I was like, it's on. Yeah. So that's what it is. That's what it is.
And that's important to note, because like we keep saying, like, we don't have time a lot of times to get into this stuff. So somebody like myself would, I've been voting since I could. Mm-hmm. I might think to myself, okay, I'm not going to vote in the primaries because I could just wait till the general election. The other people will pick the best candidate. Right, and right. So if you don't know that this is it, if there's no opposing party, and you thinking, I'm just going to wait till it's time, then you've missed it.
Yeah. You don't even, and that's the thing. Once you get to the voting booth, sometimes it's like, I'm so sorry. Sometimes it's like you're not even knowledgeable on who you're voting. Now they're giving you, you can get the ballot, you can have time to do your research and say, because they don't, not only do you vote for people, sometimes they ask you questions on that, and you're like, what is this? What is going on? What is
There's a line behind you, like, I don't want to.
Yeah, so you just start. Yeah. So that, I am a big proponent of educating yourself to make educated decisions. I guess that was redundant, but whatever. But it's important. It's important that you know what you're deciding for yourself and the community around you, because one day you're going to wake up and all of a sudden, for women, your health care access is gone. Yeah. So what were we doing? Where were we sleeping? What happened?
Yeah, when I recently moved, like I said, we sold the house, but when I lived there since I was a kid in that neighborhood, and one day I talk about this all the time. I got this postcard in the mail, said, people on the street, I guess, had reached out to the councilman wanting speed bumps. And so they're going to have a speed bump meeting in the middle of the street on a Saturday. And I'm like, I be having to pee. I can't be getting no speed bump on my street. I got to go to this meeting. Like, that's literally legit reason why I went, right? And I'm thinking we're all going to be on the same side. Like, no speed bumps. We ain't got time for that. It's a one-way. And I was the only person who was there for that purpose. And here these people that live on the same street as me, I didn't know none of them. I've been living there since the 90s. I'm like, who are you? And they're just like, we need speed bumps because so-and-so's kid got hit by a car. And I'm like, when? Who got hit by a car?
What a time to be outraged at. What do you mean? At the meeting.
I'm like, do I live here? What? Somebody... And it's just all this stuff was coming out, and I'm like, dang. And they all knew this councilman by name. He knew the people that lived on the street by name. He's like, oh yeah, remember we talked last week? And I'm like, okay, first of all, this guy is doing his job, whatever that job is. And I'm like, this is how people are getting things done. So now this street ended up getting the damn speed bumps
But
And then you moved?
But she's moved.
So she moved.
She's okay.
So there.
That's my protest.
No, but it's funny because when they put them up, they put the temporary ones, and I said that's smart. Let's test it out. Let's see how the people like it before we go put in the permanent ones.
That's a good idea.
Sure enough, they end up taking them up, so they're gone. But anyway, I digress. So apparently, this guy organized this meeting because the people that live on the street literally reached out to him and said something needs to be done on the street. A kid has gotten hit by a car. We need action. We need speed bumps. You need to come down here, and they didn't stop. The way they were talking, you could tell they did not stop until that man made time in his schedule on a Saturday to come meet with these people.
That's what they're supposed to do.
That's what it takes.
And so I say all that to say, if you're in an area where you're like, dang, this street, these potholes have been here for like years. Nobody comes out here. This street looks like trash. This is the stuff that we need to be able to know who to reach out to. We don't even know how many districts are in the state. This is speaking for me. I don't know how many districts there are.
I'm running and I don't know, so don't feel bad.
I don't know how to even contact people. I don't even know what I should be doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's important, like you said, to do this outreach. Like you said, Marcia went to knocking on doors. It's not just about getting the position and then, all right, cool, I'm a politician. Like, that's when you're, like we said, the fight starts.
The fight starts.
You just put the gloves on.
And Rhode Island has a lot of great programs. They have a lot of services that they offer. Again, education. I just went through this great program called Community Academy, where they had every municipal department come in and teach about 20 of us about all the different departments and what they do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like I was like, what? We got exercise programs in our parks?
Wow.
Like, people go work out in there? Like, yeah, she's like, we don't have chain link fences anymore because we find that when people see chain link fences, they keep the bad stuff in. I was like, really? Wow. They do the research.
Wow. And anybody who's on social media mad right now, like, what are these things that they put in the middle of Broad Street? I'm sure there was...
I just saw it over the weekend.
Why was I parked behind a car thinking...
On Sunday, we went to the spot, Jen, the Spanish spot. And I'm like, oh, no, what's going on? Yeah.
Oh my God, I struck a nerve.
I was very confused.
I was like,
my Broad Street?
My Broad Street?
Darren, our Broad Street?
And I've moved to that side of town now, and so... Like, I'm like, yo, there was supposed to be some kind of community meeting to talk about this, like the speed bumps over there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, there must have been a meeting.
Yes.
And however that communication gets to people, when you go to work, you come home, you get things, you don't look at it. So we need a way to really, like, centralize things like that.
So this is a very good point you make. And it's not a black or white thing, but it's a thing our black community can definitely do better, or our minority community. Well, Hispanics do it well. Communication. One of the reasons I'm sure you started this is because there's a gap in our market for specifically black communication. We don't own a radio station. DJ Ruckus has been advocating for a black-owned radio station so we can communicate with our population more. There's, I think, one black newspaper centered on our issue.
Wow.
I wouldn't even know. Wow. Oh, boy.
I don't know if it's still operating, but in 2017, that was the last time I knew that it was that. We have Jim Vincent, who still uses public access. Nothing wrong with that, but there's some.
You gotta have basic cable for that.
Sorry, let me drink my water.
It's true though.
I ain't seen kids break in years.
Listen. Everybody's on YouTube. I'm sure you post on YouTube. I've seen your YouTube channel. You can cast right to your TV.
Yeah.
So we need definitely reason why I started getting to the core, because I was like, yo, there's definitely an information gap here.
Yeah,
there's an information gap.
We say it all the time. Like, the people that we've met just doing this podcast, we would have no idea all these things are going on.
Yeah.
Right. So definitely, that's something. I'm not going to say it's simple or small that we can do, but it's something definitely our community can come together. Look, you go to Boston. When I go to Boston, and all of a sudden, when I used to go to Boston to work and stuff, all of a sudden there's a whole like reggae station, or there's a whole soca station. And when I talk about satellite,
Yeah,
Boston's 45 minutes away.
I know people that worked on those radio stations.
Yeah. So some of the gaps that we're missing is our own I want to say union. I don't know if that's the right word, but our own like coalition of communication. Yeah. You see the Hispanic have 2 radio stations. They definitely have newspapers. They have Telemundo. I didn't even know, like, I'm like, wait, Telemundo's everywhere. I don't know, like, I'm not even understanding how that's structured. They're actually supporting the Dominican Festival. Hey, to the Dominican Festival coming up. I will be there.
Okay.
Yeah. They're bringing Manny Ramirez. That's my era. Whoa.
She said they're bringing Manny
She's like,
Ramirez.
I have to.
Yeah, I thought she was going to like campaign.
No.
She's like, no, I'm going to the festival.
I have to go.
I'm going.
I'm going.
I looked at the flyer. I was like, Manny Ramirez? I gotta go.
She said, I'm outside. I'm in the streets.
Oh my goodness.
You can try to stop me if you want. But just like the kebabs, I'm doing it.
I'm going for it.
And when you see when their communication is big, so when you have a coalition of communications like that, you can throw a festival that's that big, you know.
Yeah.
So now I know you have a network and you have a not network, what do you call? Well, I guess a network, and maybe New York. I don't know who had the Manny Ramirez network, but they came together.
Yeah. Somebody's like, I know somebody got his number.
Right.
Somebody.
Yeah.
Listen, it would be like us saying, who knows Burna Boy?
Right.
Because he's coming to Boston.
Which it only takes, I promise you,
4
6 or
phone
7 of
calls.
us, if that. Yeah, 4.
Yeah.
And
So
bang.
we can be bringing these things in. We can
True.
be culturally developing things that are geared towards us. And I don't want to sound like, because as soon as I feel a black person starts talking about what we can do better in a black community, all of a sudden it's like, Black Lives Matter. I'm like, not like equally, we should all be having the same thing, right? Not that I don't think black lives doesn't matter, but I'm just saying you get in this like box.
Yeah.
Fit in this box.
That's not the only thing we can rally against.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yes. Get
Right.
typecast real quick.
Right.
Oh, she's the girl running for black people. Like, you don't want to
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we talked a little bit about this, but we're going to leave it alone.
Yeah.
I prayed about that. I'm good with that.
you don't want to be put in a box like you said.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you're for everybody. We're for everybody.
Yes.
Oh, for me, yes.
Yeah.
I'm all about empowering people because just like Marcia, when she did her, I should actually mention that Marcia, when she actually endorsed me as well for this position, one of the things she did, it wasn't for black people, it wasn't for white people. She had her, she wanted to pass the lunch bill. Mm-hmm. Everybody hungry, okay? Yeah. That's not a black or white thing. Everybody get hungry. Yep. She was a big proponent of education, $15 minimum wage. She was able to push that through. Wow. And that's not just for black people. Right? So when we talk about politics, no matter who's in this seat, I'm still representing the wants and needs of a community. Exactly. No matter where they're coming from.
Right. And the important thing is that the community speaks up everybody in the community. Because
except Geneva, because she come late.
When she was on the wrong side. Everybody was like, yeah.
Wait. You got ran over?
Is this the wrong meeting?
I'm like, it's Saturday. You know I walked down the street for this and this is what you talking about? That's crazy.
I walked down the street.
It was legit. I was like, this man's smart. He's like, I'm not even going to have this meeting far. It's right on the corner.
Did he have the loose tie with the rolled up sleeves?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Darren, I know it, man.
You know.
I seen the type.
All right. So, I have a thought in my head, but it's not coming out. So,
that's cool. That's cool.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Well, I'm also speaking, like we were saying, about having communications with our community. I mean, we do, like you said, we do have some. Just want to shout out WBRU.
Oh, I'm on them on next Monday, actually.
There we go.
Yeah. Ooh. I met Miss Vody. Shout out to her. I reached out to DJ Franchise. Very nice. He's like, reach out to Miss Vody. Last night, it's so late, and you know when you're doing things like that, like things slip your mind. So it's like 10 o'clock, and I'm like, I'm so sorry I texted you late. She was like, I'm up, and we had a really nice conversation. For me, I like connecting with people. I know when I reached out to you, we had a whole conversation. Yeah, we had a whole conversation before. I was like, wait, what we gonna talk about?
I'm now hitting up the guys like, somebody wants to come on the podcast, and she's like, mad interesting. So we're doing it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
That's dope.
So yeah, I'm also looking for like media opportunities to get out there. If you guys know any of the Latina radio stations, I do have a translator, so I can. Okay.
I mean, 90 Day Fiancé can do it. Why can't you?
Yeah,
listen.
Listen. Because there is no way you grow up in Rhode Island and not have like a Dominican or Puerto Rican best friend. Like
mine was
a
Emily.
Cambodian or Thai.
She would call Grandpa to order for me because I'm like, yo, can you order my food ahead of time so I ain't gotta wait in line? Yo, you know what I be in.
Right.
It's true.
This is
yeah.
insightful.
So like I said, our era is a little bit different where we like. So there's a little bit of a generational gap or transition going on where you have those who are a little bit older that came from the generation that looked down on like the foreigners, and then you have us that actually went to school with other cultures, and we're like more understanding, especially in Rhode Island where it's just like I said, every part of the world is here. There's no way you didn't go to school and you didn't know what Cambodian was, Cambodian was, or Thai, Laos. Vietnamese, Laos. Sorry, I don't know why I came so hard with the Laos.
She meant that.
My Lao boys with some G's back in the day, man.
Please
Shout out
don't
to you, know what I mean? I ain't
Right.
gonna say nothing. It was some G's, Darren, you know.
That's a good laugh.
Spanish, we have the Hispanic community also as that diverse. Dominican, Puerto Ricans, I've met Colombians here, I've met Brazilians here. So Rhode Island is just one of those places. Africa, forget it, like we here strong.
Come on now.
And then, like I said, we have a generation that was not cool. Like people even kind of disowned because they wanted to be Americanized, or we heard about assimilation. So
you even talking about with your name, how at first you just...
Oh, the reason why I don't use Torlo, which is my first name, so on the ballot is Torlo Kormasa Amos. We moved to Cranston, right? Name was never an issue in Providence. Moved to Cranston, and I remember I had a substitute teacher that struggled with the first name Torlo, and this little boy was like, "What? What's your name? Toilet?"
Oh.
And as much as I was in 4th grade, I never used that name again. I never answered to my mom, with that name, because it was just like, you get called a toilet. That's dirty.
Yeah.
Listen, when you're that age, every little thing makes a difference. Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, once I got to college and we started opening up, things became cooler. You remember, in the early 2000s is when Afrobeat started to drop, which is the most popular music now. It really changed the trajectory of how we see Africa. Now you have people from Korea, the BS2K.
BTS.
No, B2K was the bomber, right? Like
BTS, yes. They
BTS.
just broke up, I think, right?
That was bad, guys.
People going solo. So they're just like the R&B groups here.
We just showed our whole age with that one. Wow.
Yo.
It's okay, Joe.
What is it? BTK? What the boys?
What's the boys? What's the boys? The Korean boys.
Be dancing around. In perfect sync, like. So that's why I feel optimistic, because our visions is a little bit like the way we interact with people because of our experiences, whether or not we went to college with each other. We're just more open-minded.
Yeah, I've seen, and I think we talked about it this year, last year, those different pods of diverse groups in Rhode Island that kind of stay to each other are kind of melding a little bit, and seeing it at the Juneteenth festival. It's like, whoa, I know you, and you're African, and you're Cape Verdean, and you're this. Oh, and you ain't even black.
Because usually the festivals here would be Cape Verdean Festival, like Dominican Festival, Puerto Rican Festival.
It's been like that for a while.
So having something like PVD Fest,
everybody
goes.
Culture Fest, same thing. So like, something is happening, and it's like y'all are on the precipice of something that's really gonna help to transition what's going on.
That's a Nigerian right there.
Yeah.
You see, I use my English.
Yeah,
English.
So Liberian people will say you didn't eat your past school fee. That means when you went to school, you paid. You didn't go and buy lunch even though you were hungry.
You're right.
You didn't eat it. What is the word for today? Webster, what is the word for today?
Yo, that's me, yo. I like the words, man.
Say it. What is the word?
I don't know the word. I can make one up.
Precipice.
Use it.
Oh, precipice.
That's the one you just used.
Yeah, but don't ask me to define it.
No, you used it correctly, yes.
I just hope it works the way I use it.
No,
Sounds poetic.
It sounded good. None of us going to fight you on it.
So that's what it is. That's what it is. So when you talk about that and you seeing it for yourself, I'm seeing hope in that.
Yeah.
I'm seeing hope in that.
For sure, because born and raised here, I saw it. I was Old Broad Street, and then it transitioned, and I saw how the Latin community was able to come together And whereas like the black folks there at the time moved to better places, different states.
It's true.
And just dispersed.
Like I said, at 8 years old, we moved to Cranston. Like my parents weren't having it.
Yeah. So now it's like, wait, we don't gotta like run off to our own corners. We can come together and do ill stuff for everybody. So I like what's happening.
So that's a lot. That's it. That's me. That's what I'm about. That's what I'm about. And like I said, please donate.
Yes.
It does take money.
And
please vote. And please vote. And please vote. Even if you don't vote for me, golly, empower yourself. Do something.
We vote.
You know.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. I can't wait.
Can I be an honorary fourth member, please?
Honestly, we always welcome guests because I'm always looking for like an excuse not to record, so you can fill in for me. Jen's traveling again now, so you can fill in for Jen. So no, absolutely we'll have you back on.
It's like I tell people, I've been through a lot to get here, so I just thought like I'm waiting for somebody to be like, yo, we're just gonna give you the honorary doctorate without like the loans.
You never know. You killing it with these miracles. You never know.
Right. Like, sir, ma'am, can you turn this into wine now? Like, yeah. I'll probably drink it before. Should you be drinking that?
So definitely thank you for sharing your word, your life with us on our wonderful podcast.
Yes.
Make sure you follow her on the social media platforms. Where can people find you on social media again?
So on Facebook, I go by Kormasa Amos. On Twitter and Instagram, I go by Getting to the Core. Yep. I am not a TikToker. What other things are there? I do feel. Never mind. So those are.
Check out her MySpace.
I believe she has a website, Vote for Core, if I'm not mistaken.
Vote for Core.
It will be up.
I do have a phone number. It is not my personal phone number. It's a Google number. But I do want people to reach out to me. Let me know what they want, what they're seeing, what they want discussed. I'm all about. So me and this gentleman, we're talking about having forums, especially for our youth. We want to hear from them. One of the initiatives I would really, really love to see. So you have all these committees in the assembly. You have the finance committee or whatever, all these various committees, but nothing like a youth committee, which I understand because you have to be elected to office to do that. But still at a political level, we should be already, like I said, cultivating youth. So I would like to see something like that also implemented in the State House, where we can choose some youth to come experience. Right. I know they have interns and stuff, but that's at like college level.
Right.
You have to declare that you're like, that's what you want to do.
You poli-sci major of some sort.
Right.
Yeah.
So we need to start younger.
Yeah.
High school students, like I said, y'all schools, excuse me. Sorry, I got a little relaxed. Like I said, the schools were taken over. We haven't even heard what the youth are saying. What do they want to see in their school systems? We know what we want for our children, but when you came from my generation, you weren't exactly allowed to express a lot. I did have that experience of, hey, Dad, I want to be the next Oprah. Started communications, and I remember he took me out, changed all my classes to law classes, and it was like, no. Only to find out most communication majors, they do end up going into law. Like, you just had to wait a little bit more. Like that's it. And now look what I'm doing, politics. Like, so it's one of those things that I give a chance and I listen to our young people, because I do think once you feed their vision, listen, it's not just, we so used to, it's the gratification, right? We want things now. But once you start investing, these are the same children that is going to take care of us.
Exactly.
In the next, I'm not even going to 30-something
Yeah.
years for me.
Yeah.
But these are the same children. So if we're not investing in them, when it's time to draw from that bank, it's not going to be there.
Yeah, we're seeing it now a little bit.
Nobody putting me in a nursing home. I would go build my house in Lagos before, and I would have my house girl and my house boy. Well, I have to follow my husband.
Yes.
I would have to say my husband's also, his mom is from Arkansas, so that was like a culture shock. My husband, his mother is Arkansas. He's Nigerian because his father's Nigerian. And
I was going to say, I did not know we had a presence in Arkansas.
There was. Really? So when Nigerians came, he said when his father came on some, like, I feel like I'm making this long. Like, y'all still recall?
Oh, no, you're okay. We're going to end on this one. I like it.
Because it's about Nigeria.
No, I'm gonna lie. We're gonna end on one thing after that, another Nigerian. But go.
Okay.
Watch it.
No.
So his father, my father-in-law, as I understood it, came on some kind of scholarship or for education. that also happened to Liberians during the war. They could come here and get their education, and he ended up in Arkansas, and that's where he met his mom. I don't know how many of them were there, but they ended up moving here because that's where I guess most of the community was.
Oh yeah.
So that's what happened. So my husband ended up with his mother's last name, Amos, instead of. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I will page you. Yeah, so you guys might know his sister that went to URI. I'm very proud of her, Emily. I will page you. Very nice girl.
I have to look.
Yeah, very nice. I do love my family, the family I married into. They instilled a lot into my husband for him to be able to like take care of me the way he did, like that integrity that I see in him. You know, I'm like, I've been campaigning so hard, and I come home and he's like, I try to straighten the house out, and I was like, that's so nice of you. Man. Like
that's
some, you know, they're not having it. They're not having their wife go out.
Big.
And when people tease them like, oh, your wife you gonna be the first, like he's like, yes, I am.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Man.
Listen.
Speaking of seeking sister wife, that guy,
he's
he's just off the rails now. I'm like, I can't be mad at you, sir. That's how you win. You win.
Let me put this
he
out
ain't
there.
Nigerian, is he?
No, he's just a scammer.
Okay.
Tabitha Brown. I don't know if you guys know her. She's an influencer. Tabitha Brown.
Oh yes, the very positive lady. Yes.
She was able to retire her husband.
Yes,
I'm going to retire my husband.
Amen.
No, that's
because
right.
for the many years that he worked for us, many years that he worked for us, that man never complained. Even when I was yelling at him.
Wow.
And when I yelled at him, I had to do this. It's horrible.
You're using your good oxygen to do that.
I would have definitely done.
Just turn the tank off. I just need some time.
Keep going.
I just need a moment.
And then you look back a couple years, and then she was eating meat.
Yo. I would never let you live that down. Never in my life.
Come on, listen.
Darren's a Cancer. He's very petty that way.
Yeah.
I'm here though. I'm here.
Yes,
Amen.
Listen.
Amen.
So I want to shout out my like you said, my family, my husband most especially. Even though I went through everything I did with my with my pregnancy, my daughter looks just like him.
Right.
She was like, "You were doing too much. I'm going to go ahead."
I love it.
So, like I said, I wanted to end on another Nigerian note, since we're talking about awesome black women in Rhode Island. Our good
Give
friend
me a big
TOLU.
T.
Yes.
For TOLU.
Big TOLU. Big TOLU. Was just named to the Providence Business News.
Wow.
40 under 40 list.
Yes.
For 2022.
Yes.
So, and she's such a humble lady. Like I didn't know. Somebody had actually a good friend Sam sent it to me. And I'm like, how did she not?
Drina went to dinner. I got the.
She sends
the
me Instagram links all the time.
Wow.
Foolishness, and didn't mention it because
you know Tolu.
She's a humble girl. I'm a humble woman. I love Tolu. So I just wanted to make sure that at some point in this episode, I shouted out our good friend.
You know, when you go to her parents' house, the frame that will be there. Listen, that whole article will take up a wall.
My mom still mad I didn't frame my little college diploma.
I'm
like.
You worked hard for that.
Oh, yes.
Yes, that's what they tell you. You worked hard for it. My mom always like, education is one thing that they can't take away from you.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I'm like, educate yourself. Like, they can't once you know the system, they can't take it from you. All they try to do is change it up, and then you empower and say, I ain't going nowhere.
That's it.
That's it.
I love it. Thank you.
Such a great episode. Thank you for coming.
I really can't wait to listen back to this one. I love it.
Awesome. Oh, and I had a thought last night. Spasm really should have more than one vowel in it. It really bothers me.
Spasm. I don't
spell it.
SPA.
ZM.
SPA.
I hate you.
SM.
Oh yeah, SM. Yeah, I don't like. Is that is that an English word? What's the root? It's fine.
Interesting.
What's the root?
Is there such thing as an English word?
It's all Latin, right?
Okay.
Sorry, that was it. Thank you guys again for tuning in.
Yeah.
This was awesome, and thank you one more time.
Thank you, Sally Mae.
Thank you, Sally Mae. And bitch, sorry, cut that out.
We did so good, babe.
I know.
We did so good.
It was bubbling, bitch.